I got a mess back there. So if I stand up, you'll see this huge mess behind me. It's my pit table.
Yeah.
It's got all my tools out there. It's got everything laid out. I'm just like, well, I'm gonna pick this up when I pack up to go to the next race. So I'll leave it out for now. Man. So Scotty Ernst in the house. What
What's
is
up, Thomas? How are
happening?
you? I am
I am
well, thank
good.
you.
I am good, brother. It's been a while, a little minute, a few months. Man, it's lots have changed. Lots been going on. The RC industry seems to be still having races. I see that big time race happening this weekend, Surf
Yeah.
City Classic. Sold out in a few minutes. That's a great topic to talk about tonight. I'm excited to talk about some racing and some of the action. And let's first catch up with Scotty Ernst and let everybody kind of get linked up here. It's going to be a little while. Usually I wait till the 5-minute mark to kind of roll out so
Okay.
that people have a chance to catch up. But Scotty, how you been, man? It's been a
Um.
while. I hope you're doing well over there.
Oh yeah, everything's good here, Milwaukee. All is well, and ready for like everybody to kind of get back at it and get some back to the norm that we had, as you mentioned. Surf City coming up, so that's gonna be exciting. And it'll be fun to see all them guys out there at that annual race. So it'll be good.
Have
There's
you
some.
have you have you been to the Surf City Classic? Have you raced that race? I know you race a
I have
lot of
not.
races. Every once in a while, you'll sneak in a couple, and you'll get some racing in. You've never had a chance to race the Surf City Classic?
No, I never had a chance. It usually just summertime
Scheduling.
usually is so busy for me that I'm always used to be working.
Yeah, we could
But
talk
no,
about that in a minute here.
yeah, I never had a chance. Say hey to some people I know. Ryan Durain, Danny Detloff.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, Danny, Pink Room again. This is my office. This was
The pink room.
this is Narissa's old room, and it's my office, and I don't want to change it. There's a lot of memories in this room from when my kids were young. So yes, in the Pink Room for sure.
Hanging out in the pink room, man. Oh, by the way,
Exactly.
we barely made the live show on time because Scotty Ernst texted me. I'll give him the link to link up here. He's like, he texts me, "Hey, I'm on a Mac," and I'm like, "What's that supposed to mean?" Because I can't connect it. I'm like, "Oh, dude, oh no,
Oh,
oh,
see, why you got to be like that, man?
are
Why you
you?"
got to throw me under
I
the
was,
bus? It's
I was like, "Are
because
you
it doesn't
serious?"
take Safari. So
So Scotty's on a Mac. Luckily, fortunately enough, we were able to link up and get him online and connected here before the show started, before 7 o'clock.
exactly, we
Yeah,
were we were online. What's up, Zeke?
yeah. Let's say
Fitzgerald, how you
let's
doing?
go. Let's go say hi to some people. Good to
Gregory
see you.
Kenny, the fine manager at Trackside Hobbies and Raceway in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yep.
What is up, buddy? Hunter King, Mike Zippy, Luke.
The force is strong with Lukey.
Is there a new Star Wars coming out?
Dude,
Or are
isn't
they
it
done?
about time? I think it's
I
about
think
time.
so.
Yeah, they gotta be rolling out something. Or is the series totally done? Are they done with that?
I have no idea. I'm not one that waits,
Yeah.
outside for 3 days before it goes. I'll go see it. And
Yeah, eventually, right?
the last one I went and saw just by myself, they opened a new theater when that one came out, where you could actually like have a meal in the theater. I know it's not state of the art, and there probably is other
Yeah.
places in the country, but it was awesome. You could order a pizza and a drink while you're watching a movie. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
We have a
So
couple of those in Portland, called movie pubs, and I
there ain't
remember
none left. There ain't much left in Portland right now, is there?
no, I don't know. I haven't been out there. I'm sure downtown is looking not so good.
Man,
Um, but I mean, I'm sure outside of downtown, it's well, life is probably pretty normal.
it
At
was
least
a
that's
it
what.
was a cool experience. Go to a movie and just
Yeah,
eat and
movie
everything.
pubs, man.
Yeah, it
You
was
can order.
cool.
Did you order a beer? Oh, you don't drink, but
Yeah, you know me, the big alcoholic that Scotty is,
yeah,
right? Yeah, exactly.
yeah, no drinking for Scotty. So, yeah, it's interesting when you get to kind of eat a pizza and drink a beer and watch the movie in a big theater. It's yeah, it's different. I like it though. It's
Yeah,
cool.
it was a good time. So, what's up, Derek? How you doing?
There we
Derek
go,
Tracy online.
Jason.
Daniel Adams. What's up?
Woo! Okay, hi. Oh, dude, Daniel Adams. Look at this guy. Hi, guys. Okay, bye, guys.
Just in and out.
Yeah,
Yep,
good
yeah,
old
he's in.
Daniel.
What's up? Dale
Gotta say,
Isla. What's
gotta
up,
say
buddy?
hi to Jason Dunn. Checking out the live cast here on YouTube. The little emblem says he's making a comment from YouTube. So thanks for watching, Del
All over.
Isla. Yeah, we got a lot of people on, courtesy of obviously the legendary, like this guy says, legendary Scotty Ernst and the powerful Thomas Tran. I don't know.
Powerful.
I don't,
Hey,
dude.
Caesar,
Have you
how are
seen my
you?
guns? Have you seen my guns lately? They ain't much, man. I'm hanging in there. But thank you. Hope you're doing well, Caesar. Ryan, what's happening, man? Good to see you online as well. We're just gonna sit around and talk about racing, man. It's a big racing weekend. We got a lot of big races coming up. I'm excited for them. I'm stoked. I know a lot of people are excited. Hopefully, I get to see a lot of you guys out there racing too. I'll give you the list of what races I'll be heading out to, and Scotty will also be giving us an update to his races that he'll be attending. So maybe you can catch Scotty at one of these races. But let's catch up with Scotty now officially. Um, I saw you got a race in last weekend doing some fast guy stuff. What let's hear the story here.
Yeah, this summer I kind of, with not being able to work or anything like that, I said, hey, I got millions of frequent flyer miles and a hotel point. Let's go racing. So last year I started Asian Nitro Championship over in Asia and running 1/8 scale and 8 scale on road. And I always wanted to do that. And I got a Infinity car this year, and I went
Oof.
racing. And man, this is the greatest thing ever.
So you've done 8 scale nitro before, right?
Off
Like,
road, off
oh,
road,
off road.
off road. I did. Never raced 8 scale on road except up at the Sven Memorial Race
Yeah, I
last
remember.
year. I got to do that. That was my first like taste of it, and then
Oof.
it was that
Okay.
was a mistake to drive that.
Okay. So then you went and raced it. Where did you go? What was the track?
This last weekend, I was in Toledo at the 1/8 racer track. It is a beautiful track that's been, I think this was the 21st year of this race. And it's a awesome, awesome track. One of the best in the country for sure. And they had their big Great Lakes Challenge race. And it was, man, it was a lot of fun. And I've been doing a lot of racing this summer since I can't go announce. And I figured I'd do some racing.
Yeah, how's that been for you? The whole 8 scale stuff, the Infinity rides. Like, what's the experience like? Are you living it big time? Do you have your own pit mechanic? Do I
No,
need
no,
do you need to phone a brother up and get me out there?
I
I
do.
can tune
I need my
I
own
can tune an
mechanic.
engine now.
Yeah, yeah, you're all good. I'm still learning all that, but
Uh,
it's been so much fun. Thankfully, when I go to race, there's a lot of friends that have been helping me. And around here, it's Jason Conley and Bobby Flack. They've taught me so much over this summer here of what to do, and we just had a good time. And I went to Texas earlier for the
Woo.
Texas Biggie. The end of May when that was like my first race, and Ron Atomic was down there, got me all dialed in, and then I had the greatest experience ever about a
What?
month ago. I
What?
went out. Oh yeah, I went out to
Wh-
the KO Grand Prix out at Steel City. Beautiful track, wonderful. And I
Oh
had
man.
the coolest mechanic. I was It was good before the race even started. Good. Joel Magic Johnson was my mechanic for the
Oh,
event.
I
We
saw a
sat
picture.
Man, it was unbelievable to have, I don't know, 32-time national champion, world champion. The list is long and distinguished, and just to be able to hang out with him, and he was awesome. He helped me out and taught me so much about 8 scale, and worked on my clutch. He's like, man, your clutch sounds bad, Scotty. Take your motor out. Let me look at it. And he's rebuilding my clutch and everything, and it was so awesome. And to watch now, we're dating ourselves because a lot of you guys probably don't know who Joel is, but he
Joel
is
Magic Johnson.
he's the greatest, probably most decorated champion in the U.S. for RC. Just amazing back in the day, and he's been kind of retired from racing for a while, and he jumped back in the saddle. And through the course of the week, you could see him really kind of getting his mojo back.
Oh
And after he finished second in the open division, And afterwards, after he kind of decompressed and everything, he kind of said, it feels good to be back in it. And he felt that competitive level again, like, he raced that for so long. And it was great to just learn from him. He taught me so much. And that's going to be a memory I never forget. Get to hang out with him for a weekend. And I looked down from the driver's stand and I got Joel Johnson, working on my engine. And
is he tuning your engine?
He was. Yeah, he had that thing.
Snap.
It was top fuel, man. It was
man.
really good. If I wouldn't have
tuned to kill, huh?
Yeah, for sure. It was awesome.
So what is
great.
What is it like driving one of these cars, set up by Joel Johnson, tuned by him? You've got basically factory support, and like you said, one of the most decorated racers we have in history here, and helping you out. And then you get to drive at one of the most legit on-road tracks I think that we have in the US at the same time. I mean, what is that experience like? What's the racing like at that level and at that kind of vehicle?
The problem is, with all that you just mentioned,
oh no.
If I suck, it's me. I can't blame the car, I can't blame the engine, I can't blame anything, right? It's just me. So it was pretty awesome. Steel City, beautiful. We held the World's there last year, and it was awesome. But if you watch the track and you see a video, whatever, it looks easy because it's just wide open and flowing so hard. Because it's so flat out and everything. Oh, it's crazy fast. And it was a challenge. And the best part of this 1/8 scale on road and the worst part are the same. It's you are on your tips of your toes at the ultimate level for the entire, whether it be a qualifier or a main. And if you blink and you make one mistake, it's done. I mean, you're not bouncing off a board and off a board and going to keep going. No, you kitted up your car and it's going. But it's so rewarding to be able to drive one of these at 50, 60 miles an hour and just be at the limit. It's a feeling of RC that I've never had before, and it's something I absolutely fell in love with. Everybody's been giving me a hard time all summer about this. That I'm out. I'm hooked. So it's been fantastic. And there's I've been able to go to a few tracks. My first race was down in Texas at the Texas Biggie at the RCRCNT. And that's an awesome track. They're holding the nationals there next month. So I'm pretty excited to go back there. Daryl and the guys down there and Chris, they got a wonderful place. It's really nice. They just they're putting a lot of their own money into it. New pit tables and awnings and everything, getting ready for the nationals that are coming up next month. And so it's awesome. It's a beautiful track, really nice, and good people that run it. So I'm looking forward to going there. I've been to Toledo, and I've been to Steel City, been Cincinnati for the series race. So I've been around. Yeah, so I've gotten around this summer. There's a couple tracks I still want to go to.
You road tripping, aren't you, man? Having a blast.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. I'm glad you're getting to be a racer again. I know you're a diehard racer at heart. A lot of times, at these events you're working, and I know what that's like. And but out of all the guys I know who's working in the industry, you're probably the most diehard racer of the dudes that work in the industry. Like, if you don't know Scotty, like, if you see him at a race, he's running 4 classes, and he just he just got done working the weekend before. He has a weekend, he has a work trip somewhere a week after. Like, I'm just like, dude, how do you manage? Like, how do you find time to? But you truly enjoy it, right? Like, you truly enjoy the racing and the camaraderie and the experience.
Absolutely, I do. I mean, this this hobby has been part of my life, pretty much all my adult life. When I got out of the military in the late '80s, I got into the hobby, opened a hobby shop in the early '90s in '93, and the hobby's been part of my life forever. In fact, we were joking a year or so ago. If you go into my phone and pull up any name, there's probably 3 or 4 names in my phone that are not RC related. Every friend I have in my life, minus a couple high school reunion people, I reconnected with. Everybody in my life is because of this hobby, and it's been part of my life. And there's no doubt, as you say, I I truly enjoyed from the racer side to the
Yep.
organizer side. It's part of my life, and I truly do love it.
So I got this comment down here for us. Time for the smooth sounds of Thomas and Scotty.
Hi
Oh
there.
man. I don't know about smooth sounds. Maybe a little bit entertaining, somewhat awkward, but
I
smooth
tell you one
sounds.
thing, Tom, it's going to be rusty for me when I get back to work, man.
Dude, your
I
voice,
haven't.
you might not have that voice
Oh
capacity. Like
man.
you
I mean,
you
I
you were
can.
you were like a trained like professional. Every event, like you had no problems with the voice, and yeah, you might come back now being however many months off, not calling a weekend, and you might have a little ring rust, buddy.
I'm worried about it. When when I'm doing it, I'm doing it every weekend. I can do a 15-hour day of nonstop without taking a break, just because I'm so used to doing it all the time. But now I haven't announced since Motorama in the middle of February. Yeah,
Woo.
I'm worried. I get back to my first gig, and I got a
Yeah.
15-hour day in front of me.
You got
It's tough.
Got
So
Brandon. Yeah, Brandon Dommel is actually asking you. You going to be at Motorama this year? So I believe the one coming up in 2021. What do you
yes,
think?
Motorama. In fact, I just read something maybe an hour or so ago that Brad, the organizer of Motorama, just made a post that everything is on schedule for
Oh,
February 2021. Still going to happen. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now, but I think the way the world is going right now, that we're kind of slowing down and phasing out of this, I think come next year everything will be back to normal,
I
or
hope so, man.
quasi normal.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we can gather and have events and things like that. I'm looking forward to that time. Luke Eunice actually makes a comment about movie pubs. So yeah, they have a couple in the Puget Sound. I don't know if it's a Northwest thing, but I went to my first movie pub probably when I was like 20 years old or 21. So man, back in the day, that would at least be early 2000s, maybe, yeah, somewhere around there. So late 90s. Um,
We're
yeah,
late
movie
here in
pubs.
Wisconsin, or maybe it's just me. Maybe they've been around for an age, and I'm
You,
never home,
you
so I
just
didn't even
you just
know.
never found out about them. So I'm curious to know if anybody else has been to a movie pub or has one locally, or are they popular in your area? Like I'm kind of curious to know if it's kind of a thing or if it's just kind of this weird Northwest thing, because it could be a weird Northwest thing. They got a lot of weird things up there, man.
Damon Dunn, man, man, a short course showdown at Hole Shot. That was a long time ago. That was pretty
Whole shot.
awesome. Yeah,
What?
Hole Shot. That was a long time ago. Yeah, we had a good time down there. Short course showdown back in the day. That was an epic time when short course first came into the world. It was it
It
was
was
awesome.
fun. There was a lot of energy, wasn't there?
It was because it was so different, and we had to race a trackside, and I made it like a hobby show.
Mm.
We had a little dirt track indoor in the back, and then a carpet track I had set up. Every company brought their easy ups. Associated was there, Novak was there, HPI was there, Traxxas was there, Losi was there. Everybody was there, and it was just I could never duplicate it. It was just perfect, and I caught the wave right before it was just building.
Mm.
Traxxas shocked the world coming out with the slash that nobody saw, and I I have no problem saying this. Next to the Gold Tub RC10, that Traxxas slash, those two things change our industry more than anything, in my opinion, because it
When
just was amazing.
when Traxxas released the Slash, like what was the inception from the racing community? Were they like, "Ha, this thing's never gonna take off"?
Exactly. It was a
We're
joke. The
oh
diehards, they laughed at it. They thought, what is this?
yeah,
And that just shows the mentality, unfortunately, of some of the racers and some of the companies too. They were
anti,
closed minded, like this is never, and it changed our industry.
yeah.
It was amazing of what it did, the amount of people it brought in. And as hobby shop owners, we've never been able to sell a $200 price point ready to run that a 3-year-old or could go and run into the tree and keep it going.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Those couple Christmases, it was just
The
it was
Christmases,
amazing.
that bonus was amazing.
It was great, and that really were great. Then we did the showdown, and we
Yeah.
changed the racing. It was all heads up racing. You know what I mean? No, no staggered starts or whatever. And man, you've been around that. And some of the
Yep.
races we had with Kinwald and Hodap and everything back in the day, man, there was some good times. Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of
I
great
wasn't
memories.
I wasn't around for the initial short course showdown. I wasn't able to attend any of the original short course showdowns. We kind of hooked up and did the showdowns when it was like the following year. You tried to bring it back, and it was just really hard to match up dates because of basically every good date or everything that was left to choose for dates were holidays and whatnot. And so like the scheduling and the planning it was hard to kind of find room to place
Yep.
the showdowns because there were so many races, and with your schedule and everything, it was hard to really kind of set that. So um we tried to make it come back and make it work, and it was a lot of exciting things, but just planning the next year, it just seemed like it was hard to do.
It was hard. So it was time to put the rest. We had a good run for those 3-4 years, and it was a lot of fun. So a great time in our industry for sure. And shout out to Jason Hack, Ryan Newberry. What's up, fellas? How
Yeah,
are
look at
you?
that, look there, little
What's up,
Jason. What's going on, buddy? Got Ryan in the house,
Ryan?
man.
Man, we
So
missed you,
Ryan,
Ryan, this year.
yeah, I was hoping this year would happen. Unfortunately, not this year. But we're talking about the Sven Boehringer family reunion,
Hello.
formerly known as the Time Zone GP.
Yep.
Uh, One of the best races I've ever been to, if not the best, if not my favorite race I get to go to actually all year long. People are going to be disappointed, like, oh, you're an on-road guy, and no, it's just if you choose race
Oh,
events
I,
for
I
fun.
I don't know about not saying you're an on guy. I do remember a guy going down to Australia and winning Formula One in Australia at the big,
Oh man,
AOC day back in. Oh yeah, you guys don't
that
know this. Thomas was quite the on-road race. Went down with me to Australia, borrowed a Formula One car, and laid whoops on the boys down there for sure.
dude, remember when I had you watch my car and I had no grip, and you were like, you were just like, dude, you got to do something. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm just
Maybe
gonna
you
run my
should not run and just do reporting or whatever.
yeah. You were like, that's your that's what you got. Like I was like spinning out. I couldn't accelerate. My car had no grip, and I didn't know about how to you know, like treat on-road tires. So my tires are brand new, and since they're new, they're super hard. So I had no rear grip until I figured out. Scotty's like, dude, take them outside and burn them on the pavement. Do something. And I'm like, do you
Yeah. Well, look.
really? Does that is that not too hillbilly? I was like,
No.
You really? And he's like, yeah, you gotta do something. I'm like, he had this like Scotty had this worried look, like something bad was gonna happen in his eyes. I could see this man's eyes. He's just like, "You gotta do something, dude." I was like, "Okay, it's probably pretty bad." So I went outside. I kind of just held the wing and just did a little bernie on the pavement. I came back in, saw my tires went back out, and my car was a lot better. And as the weekend went, my car got a lot better, and just the speed built, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
One of
But
the guys who raced, Dan Marr from Australia, he's online. What's up, Dan? How are you? He says
oh snap!
car was a mess at the start. He remembers.
Yeah. Okay. So Dan was the dude that was helping. He was driving X-ray. I'm not sure if Dan's still doing X-ray currently or not, but he was an extra. He had an X-ray Formula One car, and the thing was dialed. And I'm almost like, oh, that's what I got to race. Like, oh man, this is. I'm like, hey dude, what do I do to get more grip? So Dan was helping me out. We found some like wiggles with my car, fixed something with it. I can't remember what it was, but there was something binding or something. It didn't really help. It was just really just about the tires getting at a point where they could provide grip. So I didn't sand my tires or do anything. I just ran on the carpet, and right off the bat, they just were not very good. Once they broken in, money. But yeah, Dan helped me out, and then I ended up beating him. So thanks a lot, Dan.
Dan's a cool cat. One of the many
Yeah,
friends we have down there for sure. It
yeah,
was a good
Dan.
time.
I remember actually meeting Dan for the first time at in Japan. The
Hmm.
world's there. Yeah, super friendly, super nice guy. Asked me some. It was at Yatabe during the one of AOCs there. He came over to participate in the race, and we kind of he asked me some photography questions or video questions, and we got along since day one. So then he went to Australia, helped me out, and then got to lay down lay down the butt kicking there. So it was fun. A really fun weekend. So I gotta say though, that's the fun thing about racing that I miss when I don't get to race. As a I'm at a lot of events, but I don't get to race very often, and it's nice when you do well, because it's so hard to do well these days. If you're if you're just racing once in a while, it's actually very hard to place in the podium positions. You got to do it regularly. So when the days do come where you do turn a good laps and you finish out strong, I'm very blessed to have those days, because they're definitely a lot harder, fewer and far in between than they were when I was actually a racer. But
racing all the time.
yeah, I mean, what do you think about working and then trying to get some racing in? Do you feel you got to take a step back from the competitiveness, that your competitive fire? Do you have to tame that, or are you just like, let's go?
I mean, it's hard to jump back in, as you say. I think you mentioned that when I go to a race, I'm running 4 or 5 classes. I think I need that to try to get back in the groove and do that, because I wasn't racing a lot. I get to race, here at trackside, and stuff like that whenever I'm home. But this COVID, though, I gotta say it's caused me time to reflect a little bit, and showed me again how much I love racing and I miss it. And I'm sure gonna try to do more racing come next year. Maybe not work as much, spend a little bit more time at home. My kids are all grown, so they kind of got their life and everything. So it's been a fun summer, and try to get out and do a bit more racing. That's for sure. I see the fabulous Barry Baker is online. There you go. There's a name. He's like, I don't know, 82-time Reedy Race champion or something like that. And what's up, Barry? Good to have you online. And but I miss racing. But yeah, it's tough to get back into that competitive. And I got one of those shirts that say, the older I get, the faster I was. So we were all faster back in the day. Now I'm running the old guy masters class, so at least I got a chance.
Oh man, the masters, really?
Yes.
You're running masters now?
I'm running masters, yeah. In 1/8 scale nitro, it's
masters. Masters, like, what is the qualification to be a masters driver? Like,
it's just age. Some places it's 50 and over. Like this last weekend, it was 45 and over.
Okay.
And Chris Kemper from Texas destroyed us. Oh yeah. He was. Yeah, we had nothing for him. So yeah. But that's all right.
Racing for seconds, not always fun, but.
No, but it's anything. It's nitro racing. Hell, I had 3 flame outs. I finished 1 qualifier. So it's racing. It's nitro racing. Anything can happen.
Oh man, Charlie.
Oh yeah, Scott is an Opener Masters Plus.
Chime in right now.
Yeah, that's I'd hate to call him my friend, but he's one of my dearest friends. And Charlie was racing at trackside with him and his dad. They had a trailer that said Rice Burner Racing on the side of it, and he was, I don't know, probably 11 years old, 10 years old, something like that. He came up and running the Tamiya series. Him and his dad used to run Carpet Oval back in the day, and a lot of good memories with that cat. He's a good guy.
All right, so we got the catch up with you with your summer racing. Where are we going to catch you next? What's the plan for where are we going to catch you at the next event and the event after? Or when do you look to get back into announcing and all that stuff? What's the plan looking forward?
Well, I'm supposed to be asleep right now in Europe right now, because I'm supposed to be at the EOS. We're kicking the EOS and ETS kind of back off this month over in Europe, but we can't leave America, so I'm not going to be able to go. So hopefully they'll have a good time over there. It'll go well. I saw some of the guys posting their flights. Mikael Arlowski was picture out of the window on a plane saying he's looking forward to getting back at it. So for me, my next gig,
that's a tough one to miss, man.
Oh yeah, it's brutal. I mean, that's I'm Uwe Reinhardt and I, we're 50-50 partners in the EOS ETS series. So I'm like, I own part of that series and I can't be there. So it's really tough for sure to not be able to be there. I mean, everybody understands we can't, I could have went if I'd have flown out 2 weeks ago, sat in a hotel for 14 days, and then they would have let me go. But that's obviously not
That's a little tough, man.
not something that's going to happen. So, and then October we got some more ETS, EOS stuff supposed to happen in Europe, but I don't think they're going to take anything down. I don't think I'll be able to go to those yet. And then November is going to be the U.S. Indoor Champs Thanksgiving weekend in Cleveland. So that's a go. We work things out with the hotel there that everybody's going to be able to pit in their hotel room.
Okay, let's talk about this race then. It's coming up in Thanksgiving weekend. It's paired along with the on-road race, the Cleveland Champs, Indoor Champs.
Correct, and it's the Thanksgiving weekend is the on-road race, and that has been this is the 42nd year, something like that, of this race, and I got involved in it last year. They asked me to help kind of organize. Paul Lemieux kind of took it over and then asked me to come in and do announcing and kind of the race organizing side of it. And it was awesome to be involved in such a historic race, the longest running race in our industry. And it was awesome.
And has it always been 42nd annual? Has it always been on Thanksgiving?
Always. Since the early days. Ron Schur from Hobby Wing was one of the first guys that were there. And he had pictures when it was just in an armory. And they didn't really have boards. They just laid carpet down. They laid strips of carpet, and you followed the carpet. So there's carpet, and right next to is the gymnasium floor. So it was,
there was no pipes or
there was some boards, but not much. I mean, you could go right off the carpet onto the gym floor in the early days. So it was cool to be involved in that. And now that's going to happen this year. And then with unfortunately not being able to do the races in Vegas anymore, I decided, hey, the week after Cleveland, since the floor and the track and everything is there already, let's do a carpet off-road race. So we're going to do U.S. Carpet Off-Road Championships the week after Thanksgiving, December. I think it's 3 through 7, something like that. They're in Cleveland at the Embassy Suites. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Oh, snaps, man. That'll be a fun race.
Exactly. You might have to throw it on a carpet car there, brah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to gather. I've got my goods ready. I'm actually getting ready. Me and Dakota are gonna head over to next weekend to Turf Nationals, the J Concepts race there. It's in Connecticut, Enfield, Connecticut. RC Madness.
Madness, right?
Yeah.
It's a really
awesome.
nice track. They have a good thing over there.
It's super fun to drive on. It's probably one of the best 10-skill driving experience I get to do throughout the year. It's a lot of fun. Some people are probably, oh, it's Astro, but it's kind of got like this feel because it's got a double layer Astro, and the jumps, they do the jumps really well, and they're simple and they're consistent. So the track flows really nice. And since it's got double layer of Astro, what that does is kind of give you a cushion. So the pins actually grip. You kind of feel into the track. And you're not really burning the tire as much. When you accelerate, it just kind of digs into the surface a little bit better. So it's just a really fun amount of grip. And when the sun's out and you're out racing at the Astra outdoor track, it's a blast of a time driving. So we're gonna head out that way and do that race and get some experience on something a little bit different. So my carpet cars or Astro car, or whatever you want to call it, artificial surface cars, they'll be ready to go, man. I'll have some time on it. I'm gonna run 13.5 4-wheel, so that thing is ready to rip. I'm looking forward to the Turf Nationals, and then for me, right after that, we're gonna head down, finish that race, switch gears, and go to 8-scale, and then do the Southern Nationals in West Monroe, Louisiana. So that'll be a pretty busy weekend or few weeks of racing. But I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be a lot of good times, man. I'm looking forward to hanging out with everybody at the track. Jason included. Lee Setzer, Dakota, obviously. And everybody else. Southern Nationals, there's going to be some guys from the TLR team flying in from California joining us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, a good reunion. We had a great time at PNB, and it's gonna be some of the similar guys down there, so we get to do another race together. And it's different for me now. When I worked at Jay's Concepts and I was helping a team, and now being a team manager and helping this team, it's a different feeling, man. I really enjoy working with everybody, and I'm starting to have more fun and like with this aspect of the job, with helping and organizing and planning and trying to you know try to facilitate in a way that we can move forward and hopefully get positive results and have fun racing RC cars, man. It's pretty simple. So I've been really enjoying that, and I look forward to these races now more than ever, just to be at. So I'm gonna be located here till the end of December. So I plan on kind of driving around and hopefully attending some of these races. So I look forward to, if the schedule is open, definitely gonna go to the Cleveland race there on Thanksgiving and hang out and have a carpet race with you. So
No, that'd be awesome to have you there for sure.
yeah,
That'd
it'd
be
be a
cool.
great time for sure, I think. So yeah, what else after that, Scotty? Do you plan on setting something up for 2021? Is this year for you in terms of doing the announcing and the race organization and promoting? Is it basically done? Are you just looking to, okay, let's just figure out what 2021, what I can do in 2021?
Pretty much so. I mean, we'll have the two events in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like I said, maybe there's a slim chance I'll be able to go to Europe maybe next month, but I really honestly think they're going to keep it. They're going to keep the country closed where we can't fly. So then I'll just work on things for next year. So then we got the Chili Bowl. We do the Chili Bowl in Tulsa, Oklahoma, dirt oval race. That's going to be a great race. Sells out 400 and some entries, and that'll be good. Then we got Reedy Race after that. Then hopefully I'll be able to be going to Europe. Then I got ETS, EOS, then Motorama, and so then it's just kind of back at the grind every weekend somewhere else. So I think next year everything will be back to normal. Be able to schedule everything. I think Asia is going to be maybe a little later. I think.
Yeah, it might be, I think, just to
Um,
see.
I want to get my Asian series, the Nitro series, going again, but I don't know when we're gonna be able. Maybe I'm hoping maybe end of February, start of March, we can go down to Australia and kick it off there, and then we're gonna go to Taiwan, maybe Singapore, Japan, maybe Malaysia. Go around to some of the beautiful tracks they have there. I thought there might have been a new one open, a new on-road track, maybe in Thailand. I saw. So um, do get the Nitro series going, and for the electric, the AOC, I don't know about that. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that going. That'll be a wait and see kind of endeavor on that one.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's just everything goes in cycles and things like that, and I don't know if the electric on road over in Asia right now can get the support that we need to be able to put on a series. I think there's in spotter, like when we go to Korea, we always have a strong race in Korea, and it's always great. We go to Yatabe every year in Yatabe. I'm proud to say you've been there with me,
Yeah.
many times. That it's the biggest race, the biggest on, not even on road. I think the biggest race period in all of Japan is our race that we have at Yatabe, and that's pretty humbling to me as an organizer that everybody comes to that race. And as people from around the world want to go there. It's something you want to check off your bucket list, to be able to say you raced at Yatabe.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys don't know, Yatabe Arena is part of the Yokomo company, and it's the Indianapolis 500 of motorsports for RC. More world championships and historic races and everything have been there, both on road and off road, and it's just a hallowed ground of RC, and it's pretty exciting to be able to go there, and let alone organize a race there, but going there and announcing a race. And I remember the first time Masami messaged me and say, "Hey, Scotty, we want to bring you in and announce a race here." I mean, it was it was the big. They had a big like Asian championship race and stuff like that. So we had two announcers, one Japanese and one me, and it was awesome. And then I got to do the worlds there. the turf worlds that they had there, and that Spencer had won, and Bruno, and it was just, man, it was yeah, a lot of amazing memories, and yeah, pretty cool things. I've taken my daughter there when my youngest daughter, she was there. We went to Japan in 2012, and she got to go hang out and see it and celebrated her birthday there. So it's,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
she had a
pretty
blast.
special place for me.
Yeah, she had a blast. I
Yeah.
remember a lot of people don't know this story, but and I can't remember why you weren't there, but you weren't there. I think you stayed because you had another meeting or something the next day, and I was heading back to the States, and Masami ended up taking me and Hewitt, I think, uh, to the airport. And my airport, my flight wasn't until 4 p.m. So we had basically lunch and nothing to do. So he's like, "Do you want to go to the go-kart course?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's
Yeah, with
go."
with Masami,
Yeah,
sure.
with Masami. So Masami takes us like through the country roads, back road. Like, yeah, if you've never, you might have not have been to Japan, but the roads are narrow, and when you get into the like the fields and stuff, you're just basically on this dirt path, like road, and we go out in this. I'm like, where are we going? Like, dude. So we go out this just desolate road, and lo and behold, there's this like area that clears open, and then it's a go kart track, and so we end up getting helmets. He was taking another person, Hewitt, to the airport, and he. So he was there with us, and then we ended up just kind of doing some laps. And we had, I think, 3 sessions on the track, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I raced Masami in a go-kart like around the track. He gave us a head start because he's been there before, and he knows the track. So I'm trying to like memorize the track off the chart, and just like, okay, it's this and it's this, and trying to, so when I go and drive on the track, I know what I'm seeing. I know what to expect afterwards. So if I need to really slow down or if I need a hammer, I kind of, it was a very like intricate track, so lots to remember. And these things were like fast. They're single speed carts, but they were actually really fast. We were probably mocking, I don't know, 40 miles an hour, on a go kart, and like, yeah. So uh, and we had the main event, so I was the slowest in qualifying, so I started first. But
Alan Hewitt beat you?
yeah, yes, yeah, Alan.
He's used to rocking his RX-8 there, so
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
yeah,
he
yeah.
goes fast. That guy has a fast car. He goes fast. So he actually had a faster time than me. We did hot lap. I was slowest, but I didn't really know the course, and I was just kind of cruising around and kind of taking my time. And then so during the main event, we ended up going. I was first, Alan second, Masami third. We go. I think we did 5 laps total. It was a race to 5 laps. So I'm cruising along. I ended up kind of like figuring out where like the track once I went on it first time. The second time was so much better for me. So my lap time improved by like 5 seconds because like I actually knew what the track was. So in the last, so Alan's like gone. Me and Masami both leave him in the dust. He's just a heavier dude, so he just doesn't. It's going to be a little bit harder for him to get going. So me and Masami are like left at it, and on the last lap, Masami is like ramming me in the back of my car, and I'm like getting nudged. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh yeah, really? And then I take this one corner, and I just kind of pinned it. And he wasn't able to make the pass on me, so I crossed the line, finished first, and
Oh man, beat
I ended up
Masami.
yeah, I ended up beating Masami in go-karts. Not RC cars, doesn't really count because, if we're doing RC cars, he would thrash me. But in go-karts, I'm sure he's just taking it easy, having a good time, making sure if I win, I spread out a good story like I am, like being a good dude. So I'm telling a good story about him, and I'm pretty sure he just let us win because it's Masami, man. He can drive RC cars with his feet, so it's like
Exactly.
he's able to do magical things with those things. So yeah, that was my experience with the Atabe back in the day. But yeah, I think you had a meeting. I'm sure if you were there, we would have raced, and I would have whooped you too. But
I don't know about that. No, not about that. I don't know about that. We'll just,
oh heck, I remember there was a moment like some go kart thing you had to be part of, and you're like, "Are you gonna go?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." Once I get involved, I really start to get too involved. So I kind of know not to get involved sometimes and just keep it fun. So then Scotty's all involved, like they're doing some go kart thing. Oh, it was in Shanghai at
Shanghai when with Rick
yeah,
Long.
Yeah, exactly. It's that night. You were just lap after lap, as many times as you could. I went like twice. I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, I had fun. I'm just hanging out, having a
Yeah,
drink or
but
whatever.
this big guy almost made it to the finals, and I got bumped out at the end. Yeah, everybody was laughing like, "Wow, Scotty got a house." Yeah, I did
Yeah,
all
we
right
were.
for a big guy.
Yeah, it was a really cool event because a lot of us got to go to this go-kart facility in Shanghai. Rick Wong, super awesome guy, and it was
Yeah,
able to really give us a fun experience there. And we went to the go-kart track. It was all paid for, like a private party session, man. And we just had the whole thing to ourselves. And how were we battling? Like,
it was
was it
just
hot lap?
qualifying times and stuff like that. But this whole last 10 minute story. The awesome part is all because of RC cars.
Yeah,
We have been around the globe because of RC, and that's what's so awesome about this hobby. And guys that are involved in the organization side or the media side or whatever, to be able to do all this because of RC, it's just absolutely tremendous. And it's I think it makes it that much more enjoyable for us that we get to travel everywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. I think there's for a lot of people, there's a point where you get to racing where you're club racing, you're getting as good as you can kind of be, and you're looking for a new experience, like a bigger race or meeting different people or racing against different people. And then you start to branch out and travel a little bit and kind of start to immerse yourself in the community that's outside of your local area, and that's when it really starts to get interesting, I think. Meeting people from different parts of the states, different parts of the world, just being able to connect like we can on social media and with all the different apps and stuff. It's been a really fun experience to be able to go somewhere and then keep in contact with those people and actually become friends with those people too. It's been a lot of fun. Like you said, my phone has basically everybody in it now. It's just
Because
RC.
you're kind of a big deal now. Yeah,
Not 'cause
exactly.
it's just because you just save all my contacts are from RC, the RC
Yeah.
industry, the RC, whether it's drivers or industry people. So here's a good thing about Charlie, a good story. Um, the on-road race, off-road race, drift championship, all in the same weekend. Parking lot was packed and super sweet cars. Masami was our driver, picked us up
Yeah.
at the airport and carted us around during the event. We hit the go-kart track. After two super fun, it rained. We got to run laps in the rain too. Oh, that would be awesome if it rained a little
Absolutely.
bit and you get to do some wet laps. It wouldn't be fun if it was raining while you're doing wet laps, but if the track was wet, it'd be a blast. But yeah, that was a great, like, man, Masami. Um, he really does just anything that you need him to do. We think of him as a legend and an icon in the industry, and he is because of his marvelous achievements. But when you talk to the man or you see him in
Yeah.
action, he's just a humble guy, just a normal dude, man. It's awesome. And he was just
He loves.
carting people back and forth to the airport. He's just a driver.
He was. Yeah. He was our chauffeur for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just goes to show, that he's, even though he's a multiple world champion, this and that, he's, just helping people, being helpful. It's definitely not above him,
Yeah. He's
which make
pretty cool. There's some
yeah.
old faces that I haven't seen. Gary Katzer, how you doing? He knows
There
me
we
from
go.
back in the early
Charlie.
days. Charlie Beads. Yeah, Charlie goes by Beads. What's up? Eugene, see ya. What's up from Chicago? What's my favorite Vegas memory? It's got to be the opening year, 2005, when the first year when I put it all together. It was pretty awesome. Good memories in Vegas. Sad that they're all behind us, but got to move
What do
on,
you
right?
what do you mean all, like, I feel like I don't have the full story. What do you mean it's done? Like, you sound like you're never gonna go back to Vegas.
I don't plan it. When we first got into Vegas and everything, it was 2005. The economy was really good. We had a good deal at the Stardust.
Mm,
It kind of tore it down, and then the economy kind of tanked those following year, 2007, 8, 9. Then we were a very valuable group. You know, we would book my contract. I had to fill 800 room nights at the hotel, and we were a viable, important group. And then we had to move a couple of hotels and things, but we were still a good group. And then once the economy grew out, and then all the companies started going back to Vegas, we
Oh,
weren't. We're not. We're a small group, you know, compared to the Snap-ons and the Coca-Colas and the Kraft Foods and all that stuff. You know, they come in and spend in one day what we would spend in 2 weeks. So it's solely a business decision by the hotel, but they could not give us the big ballroom and the space we need for the racetrack and everything for a week or 10 days because they would lose two or three clients that would want that same space that would, you know, they would have the full catered, you know, meal for 500 people and, you know, they drop hundreds of thousands of dollars. So,
the
yeah, so
competition.
absolutely. So we just could not afford to go there anymore. We just got priced out of it by the bigger corporations, and that's just straight business. I'm disappointed, but I understand, and it was a good run and something I'm proud of. I think we changed the industry in many ways by what we produced and what we shown our races should be. And I think, you know, that's something I'll always look back and be proud of. You know, in the early days, you know, sponsors never really got any attention. Yeah, this race is sponsored by XYZ company or whatever, but
Mm,
you know, we tried to make everything different, and you know, everybody was curious. We lined the racetrack with banners. Everybody's like, why? I said, because every single picture that somebody takes for history, one of our sponsors will be in the background. You know, Thomas, you've taken photos for all our races. You've been around the block with me for a long time
yep.
and all the videos. And everybody asks, why do I put so much attention to detail on the banners or for the short course, you know, the showdown? We painted the logos on the dirt on the jumps. You know, we were one of the first to do that because then every picture, every video, our sponsors are getting eyes now 5 years, 10 years afterwards. They're still, you know, every picture you look at, there's somebody, one sponsor is in the background. And that's, we just wanted to give more attention to the sponsors because without them, we would not be able to have the race. And
Right.
those are some of the things we did, and that's stuff I'm really proud of. That I'm not saying we did anything earth changing, you know, but I think in our industry back in those days, it was a big step in a positive direction for our industry.
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, being a part of it and being, witnessing the amount of care that you put in. I mean, I hung some of these banners up, dude. Like all these,
Yeah,
like
you've
plus we'd get there early and we'd have to set up. And my job was, there's no racing going on, so my job is to set up the banners. So I would be the dude setting up all the banners around the track, like one by one. You got to hang them up, and that's
we
what we
went
did.
through a lot of tie wraps through the years, didn't we?
Couple ripped corners and this and that, a little
Oh
tape,
yeah.
because they the banners get hung up, and if it's windy and outdoors, they get beat up on. And we always try to make a effort to make it look nice for the sponsors. And there was a lot of care and effort into going to present for the sponsors, and it was always fun to do that, because I understood from a very early point where if you don't have the help of the sponsors, you really probably can't have the race or the race series. And
Yep.
it's
Very
important
true.
those guys a part of it, and pitching in, and you know um, everybody has to kind of work together to kind of make the greatness happen, I think.
I
There
agree.
we go. Scotty Ernst himself has changed organized RC racing forever, for the good. Much appreciated. In a way, yeah. I mean, I
Thanks,
think
Barry.
the way you've done things over the years, and the way you've packaged and promoted and taken the extra step of making sure everybody's um, has a good experience. I think that's very Scotty Ernst. You know what I mean? Like, when every time I am at an event, I kind of unfortunately compare everything to your events, and like, Scotty wouldn't have done that.
Oh man.
Or Scotty would have done this way. You know what I mean? I have like a standard of, because I worked so close with you. And if events aren't going a certain way, or some attention wasn't given a certain part of something, I'm like, oh, Scotty would have probably looked into this and got it done. You know what I mean? Because I know the level of detail that you set and the standard that you set. So it's always, something I still, even though we haven't done an event together in a while, I still have those moments where I'm like, oh, I kind of know how you run the show and what you're expecting and what you're trying to provide. And so it's like, for me, I automatically go into this like defense mode or these attack modes.
I just try to, always looked at it from what would I like as a racer, a time schedule, and you show up every day and there's a sign hung up with the schedule for the day, or nowadays online. I mean, but there's many things I've learned though through the years that I learned from other organizers and racers, and I think any smart businessman finds the positives in their industry or whatever it is and tries to incorporate it into their product to try to make it better. And that was all I've ever did. I remember when I owned a hobby shop, and every time I'd go into a hobby shop, I would say, oh wow, I like how they have this displayed or this presented, or I like the way they have the back tags that list all the products and stuff like that. And I try to incorporate those into trackside to try to just make my hobby shop better. And I did the same thing in organizing races. I go see something, I like it. It was cool, like first time I saw timetables and stuff like that. We brought those into Vegas, and so everybody knew, race number 28 was going to be up at 2:08 in the afternoon. So that's what time you need to be ready. So just the little things that I think everybody appreciated through the years, and having a comment like that from such a historic champion as Barry means a lot. Barry's been to a lot of our events, came to the trackside for many years back in the days of the Novak race and things like that, and a lot of good memories for sure.
Yeah. So does this ever happen? So Aaron Harmison's like, at the end of the event, there's some people that have the nerve to steal those banners.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, what?
Yeah, it happens. I think people do it, and I understand they want to take, have a cool banner for if you run XYZ company, or you grab one of those banners and go. And as you know, Thomas, I get special banners made for all our events, whether it be the Chili Bowl or the Vegas or whatever. Yeah, we've had some stuff get kind of borrowed with no intent to return, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I'm busy saying my goodbyes are wrapping up, and all of a sudden we go to wrap up banners, and like, where'd the driver's stand banner go? So yeah. So it happens, Aaron, and yeah, disappointing, but hopefully somebody has a good memento from our event, and the world's not going to end, but yeah, disappointing sometimes.
That's terrible. Watch, I steal a couple banners at the next race. That's awful, man. Why would somebody do that? And that's terrible. You shouldn't. Just don't steal stuff that's not yours, guys. Come on,
It happened.
I get it. You want to take something from the race, have a little memorabilia.
Sure.
Take a couple banners, whatever. But yeah, they are not cheap though. If we get them printed on the vinyl banners that we have for TLR, I think they're like $29 or $34.99. Like they're not cheap, man.
No.
Just fun, I remember I actually had to make a couple banners. We had to
two-wheel drive mod days, or we go way back.
No, I had to make a banner for your race for Yokomo. I remember Yokomo didn't provide like a banner thing, so I was like, well, all right, we'll just make one for them. And then we made it, and you had it printed, and we hung it up, and I was like, oh, cool. I hope they approve.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was fun. So let's talk about now. Let's move on to. So we got caught up with the racing and where you're going to be, where I'm going to be. Tom Bolger asked me if I was going to go to Turf Nats, and I answered his question. T-Tran, he goes, "Are you going to J Concepts Turf Nats?" Yes. So I'm definitely going to be there. I'm going to try to make this Cleveland race that Scotty's talking about. So if you guys are interested, check that out. Matt Miller wants to ask you about the sweatpants line.
Matt Miller, how you doing? So what's the weather like outside, Thomas? How's things? Let's change subject. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Nothing that needs to be said on a public. No.
Sweatpants. Oh man.
No,
okay.
Nothing.
No. All right, we're
I got
moving on. One of
yeah,
them
we're
jokes.
moving on. I was coming up when last year's Associated race. I was coming up with some new shtick. I say a lot of stupid stuff on the,
Oh boy.
on the mic, and
This,
we were joking upstairs in the pit on something I was going to say, and I said Matt Miller. If he was leading this qualifier, and I said if he was leading on the final lap, I was going to say it, and he crashed on the final corner, so the world never heard it. So yeah, just stupid stuff I say. That's all. So you can blame Matt Miller for not doing it, but
man, it's your
Matt
fault.
Miller's a longtime friend. There is a guy. Talk about brand loyalty. This guy has been his sign on RC Tech back in the day. It's Mr.
Oh,
Losi. That's his name.
Mr.
Oh yeah.
Lucy. I love
Everybody
it,
knows.
dude. I
Everybody
love it.
knows me. I'm an Associated Reedy guy my whole life from my days of
What is?
being friends with Mike Reedy and everything like that. But
Yeah, you've
Matt,
got
I don't think
connection,
he's ever owned anything but Losi products. So
and he
he's
doesn't need to. Matt, you're good. You're good, buddy. You don't need to own other products. You're good. We'll get you some new stuff. All right.
yeah.
So good stuff. Yeah, Gary even is backing you on this. Racing Scotty at K1 near Ultimate Hobbies.
Oh wow.
He's super competitive in go-karts.
That's an old school memory, Gary. That's when we went out we used to go out to Tamiya, to the Tamiya Championship Series year. Me and Gary, Mike Lack, my brother Boomer. I took Sarah out there once. Just a bunch of guys from trackside. We used to go out there, and yeah, we used to go up to the indoor go-kart and having fun. And Gary, Marty Hagman from back in the day, lots of old names that used to go. We used to run support the Tamiya Championship Series big time. That was awesome. Just a great series they had. It's kind of lost its luster through the years, but it's still an awesome deal for their customers. Really pretty cool that they reward their customers. They have big series, national race, give away a lot of stuff. If you win one of the premier classes, you get to go to Japan, race in the World Championships. I got to do that way back in the day, back in 1990s, like that. It was a while back, but yeah, it was fun. So good memories for sure.
This is why, I think I don't have to say it, but
Zippy.
people say it all the time. This is why Scotty's so special. Hands down, the best race director on the planet. It's an honor to be able to race at trackside for the Spectrum races, short course showdowns, and even club races. So that's Scotty for you. So
Zippy is what's up, Zippy? Zippy's been racing. He listed, 3 races there. Just he's been coming up from to our races for ages. We've had a lot of fun memories and everything. Thanks for the kind words, Zippy. I appreciate it.
So here's a comparison. I do not know the comparison. Scotty is the Mauro Ranallo of RC racing. If you've ever watched a Showtime boxing match, you would know what I'm talking about.
Oh man. Well, thank you, Braden. I assuming that is a compliment. Thank you very much. I don't think I'm the best by any means. I think I'm just a guy who talks too darn much, but I truly enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun. And I've been able to, do a lot of historic and memorable races through the years. It's been I truly enjoy it.
So just while you were jibber jabbering, I wrote this question down to the group here. What is the number one race on the bucket list? I kind of wanted to see what people's responses were. What's the number one race on everybody's, what is the number one race that everybody wants to go to? Reedy Race as what I'm going to kind of guess is people's number one races they want to attend. But let's see what people. Very
yeah.
Favorite race you have
Oh
announced?
man, that's for sure. Without comparing them all, I mean, Reedy Race. I remember when in the early years when Mike Reedy asked me, he called me up at trackside and said, "Hey Scotty, would you like to come out and announce and race direct the Reedy Race?" And he says, we'll pay you and we'll fly you out here and everything. I'm like, hell, it's Mike Reedy. I'd have done it for free. I mean, it was, it's the Reedy Race. And so for sure, that's what started my whole kind of, if you want to call it a career in announcing and stuff like that, was the Reedy Race. So for sure, those easy early years, and Barry knows all about them. We were at the Tamiya track 2002, 3, 4, all those. Man, that was the heyday of touring car, and the TC3's days. It was awesome. And then I think the second year or third year, Tamia Barry, you'll remember for sure. Mike Reedy said no one ways in the front because we all ran one ways, and everybody was up and armed like, oh, we can't drive these cars without one ways. And it was maybe the best Reedy on-road race ever. Coming out of that sweeper, there was a 180. The amount of awesome braking passes, and back in the day when it was Barry and Pavitas and Matt Francis running, and man, it was just some of the most epic racing we've ever had. And it was yeah, so for sure the Reedy Race is at the top of my list for sure.
Reedy Race it is for Mr. Ernst. So we got Tom. He says the number one race on my bucket list is IFMAR 110 scale Worlds. Even if I end up dead last, it would be a life changing to go to an event like that. What do you think about the whole Worlds experience? Is this, I mean, if you were a racer, right, and if you had one big race to go to, and you wanted to make it just the most epic race, wouldn't it just naturally be the Worlds?
Oh, absolutely. Reedy Race and Worlds are the two. Well, whether it be on road or off road, for sure. Just the experience to be at a World Championships, to see 20, 30 nations represented, even if it's just one person from Bulgaria that's there or whatever, carrying the flag proudly. They're there to represent their nation. So absolutely, it's something I always want to do. I can never do it because I'm usually been asked to commentate or whatever. So I want to go and race a world championship just to be a racer. I'll be, much like Tom said, I'll be last on the list, you know what I mean? But hey, that's okay. I could say I went there and had fun. So yeah, I think a world championship is one of them. There's lots of great races around the world and stuff like that. But the pinnacle, I think, of two, if you look at the world, would be Reedy Race and the world championships for sure.
Yeah, the Worlds. They're all different too. You know what I mean? They're not a cookie cutter experience. Every country, the host country, does a little bit different. The culturally different, the celebration, the ceremonies, they're always a little bit different. The last one in Slovakia, that was really fun. They had some Slovakian dancing. Remember that? Music performance. It was really, really cool to see culturally as a group. All of us at the banquet there at the end, we got to presented a really cool show to witness. So there's kind of different in a way from your typical race. There's also that traveling element, and if you can go to one, probably the cheapest IFMAR experience that you could have is to resume in for the U.S. Worlds. But if not, I would definitely also recommend going to the ones that are overseas in the different countries, because it's such a different, like, you're just totally out of your element, and it really shows, and it really adds that traveling adventure aspect to the racing as well, and it's
absolutely.
Meeting just people from different countries, and seeing them at the races, and that's probably the only time I'll probably meet these guys. But just that one opportunity to watch supposedly the best in the world from each country battle it out for a world title. It's a unique experience. I think,
absolutely.
Tom, you hit a pretty good one there. I think with going to a bucket list being at the IFMAR Worlds somewhere around the world. That's definitely not a bad race at all, no matter what country it is. So Matt Miller says he's going to tell me about the sweatpant joke a little later. Thanks for keeping me in the loop, because it's all right. I'm not going to hold it against him. So, and no, you're not going to get a new 8XT, buddy.
Oh, yeah. He's trying to hit you up.
One of my favorite Scotty quotes of all time.
Oh, God.
Comes out once in a while, not all the time. It has to be a kind of a devastating, no, sorry, not a devastating victory, but like it has to be kind of a monumental victory. You can't just win by a little bit. You got to really kick some serious butt. this one here, do you prefer paper or plastic? This one's one of the all-time faves because you have to really be kicking some serious butt to get that one coming out. It doesn't just fly every single win. That's a tough one. All right,
I
here
got
we
a
go.
lot of stupid stuff I say.
Dale Best, Reedy Race just to watch. What if you went to the Reedy Race and you raced the Reedy Open? Wouldn't that
Yeah,
be
you get to go race. You got to. That's
fun?
another race. I want to go. I want to go race. You know what I mean? I got the privilege of being the announcer every year, but yeah, I love to go there just as a racer.
I got back when I was racing pretty heavy, probably in 2011, 12, 13, around that time, and I actually lottery. I signed up for the Reedy Race, got put on the lottery, got in, and I paid my entry fee. And then my two buddies that were supposed to go with me, they bailed out. They didn't get in because I had to bail out. I lost my money. I was like,
Oh
dude,
man.
serious? So the one time that I would have been able to race the Reedy Race as a Reedy Open guy, my buddies didn't get in, and I had to bail out and forfeit my entry fees, which I already paid, which was a bad. But you got to pay to reserve your spot, right?
Right. Yeah.
You don't pay, you're out of the loop, and they move on to the next lottery guy. So I paid, got my spot, and then yeah, my other dudes they dropped the ball. I didn't get to go, and I never got back into the Reedy Race after the 4 years
After
of
that.
applying. After that, I didn't get in the lottery for 4 years. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll never race this race. But it was always one of my races I would love to race, like practice up, put some time into it, gear up, and put a good, try to see what I got in the open class. And I'd love to do that one of these days. I don't know if it's going to happen in the next couple of years, but maybe one of these years I'll muster up some time and be able to race the open class and give it a go. But right now, I'm barely racing as it is. I don't have a lot of stick time. You might be doing pretty kick ass in the Reedy Open if you start racing all that 8-skill nitro practice you're getting.
Yeah, we got lots of traction there. I mean.
Do you think your 8-skill nitro stuff is going to help you in off road when you
Oh
start?
yeah, I think just more racing. Period. Being up there. Dealing with the jitters and dealing with all that, and that 8-scale stuff happens so quick. For sure it'll be be better. I'm actually looking forward to getting back doing some Friday nights at trackside this fall once racing kind of kicks off and everything like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to just trying to get more racing in, and I think yes, it will help me.
There you go. Hopefully it helps you take on Rick Wong next year.
Oh, Rick's got no chance. I'll call him out now. Rick, yeah, Rick can. I'll love to go head to head with him in 8-scale.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
for sure.
but he's getting some confidence here. All
Oh
of a
yeah,
sudden,
I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot in 2 months from,
your first race with
three. I've had some pretty good teachers here between Jason Conley, Bobby Flack, Ron Atomic, Joel Johnson. I've had some pretty good coaches this summer teach me a whole lot, a lot about nitro racing. So I'm doing all right.
Oh man, Rick's got JJ can help him out.
Oh yeah,
JJ.
he got JJ and AI as mechanic and everything, but Rick still got to drive it.
All right. Here we go. Eugene says the IIC best race for him. That's his race, but unfortunately, no more.
Thanks,
Brandon.
Eugene. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Brandon says right now for him it's the PNB. It's never been there. Looks like a blast. It is the most grueling race you'll ever go to in the whole calendar year. It's 24 hours of practice. I'll tell you a little bit about my PNB experience as a team manager. So I go in there, all our guys. We got a lot of 10-skill guys in there for the racing on their first big nitro race, and all their stuff's falling apart. And it's just chaos in the pits trying to get these guys to finish their run. And then, yeah, it was basically wake up and get to the track as close to 6 o'clock in the morning as possible and leave about 2 or 3 in the morning. That was kind of like the daily schedule. So it was very tough, especially for the 4-hour practice. A lot of guys on the team will practice in the morning, and then some guys will practice in the evening. So it ends up being a long day for me because I kind of want to be there. to watch both practice sessions. If my team's on the track, I want to be there. So I ended up just staying up a long time. But that race is very cool because there's no bigger race. It's close to 700-800 entries this year. I think it was close to 800. It was massive and a lot of fun though. In the evenings, even though the pace is slower, everybody gets to hang out and just kind of just hang out with each other, talk, have fun outside the track. So usually when we go to these races, there's not a lot of hangout time because everybody's busy and the next thing and the next
Right.
thing you get ready for your next class. And during that race, there's so many classes, so many heats that there's a lot of downtime, and you can go over to somebody else's pit and hang out and kick it with them and see what they're doing and how they are and kind of revisit and catch up with them. So it's a very cool race, a challenging race because there's not a lot of track time, and
Yeah, for sure.
the track's massive and it's not easy usually because the jumps are big, and if you don't make the jumps, you pay the price, especially when they get big. So yeah, PNB, great race, lots of fun, but definitely prepare for long days. If you're into long days, you'll love it. So
That's the race to go to for sure. Jimmy and Jimmy, I'm trying to remember his right hand man that helps him out all the time. I can't, but they do a good job with that. They do a good job with that because that's some serious race directing and announcing that goes on for that race.
Yeah, Sexy Leg, Sean Miller.
Sexy Legs, yeah.
Sean Miller, and then also Dave does a little bit of announcing as well. So they kind of got a 3-man rotation in there. So
that's cool.
Luke Eunice, my favorite I've ever been to was Scottsdale Outdoor for the Cactus Classic. Top of my list for next race to attend is trackside for the AE race. There you go.
Man, Luke's right. Man, that Cactus Classic back in the day when it was outside,
yeah,
that was such an epic race. Proline sponsored that race for I don't know how long it was there. That was next to the indoor champs. I think that was like 30 years or something like that. Proline sponsored and put that race on and everything. And man, that race, that 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday, the sun was just starting to go low in the sky. Everybody was sitting around the track. People were sitting, on the concrete in front of the driver's stand. It was just picturesque, and you got the best racers in the world are there. And it was just such just to capture that moment. Then couple hours of finals there. Like I said, when the sun was starting to go down, it was just a vibe you could not duplicate. It was fantastic.
Yeah, there was something special also in Arizona there. It was the DNC Dirt Nitro Challenge at the Fear Farm. I don't know. I don't know why, but Arizona has some amazing sunsets. I don't know
for sure.
The sky or the what direction the sun's falling. I have no idea, but for some reason, Arizona, when the sun sets there, it's just like out of this world. And when you're at a track and the sun's going down, like DNC has this when it was at the Fear Farm, and it was just one of those things that you're talking about. It sets the mood of the race. It's race time. You can feel the people, the energy starting to amass around the track, and it's the buzz is starting to happen and then it's game time. So yeah, I never got to go to the outdoor Cactus Classic. I really wish I was able to make that before I kind of got before it got moved to indoor and then kind of gone. But yeah, I didn't get to experience that time that you're talking about, but I did experience it with the DNC also in Arizona, and had that kind of same effect. Man, it is beautiful when there's racing under the lights, just a little bit dusk, and the sky is about to go gold and kind of dip down into violet, purple, blue, pink, all that orange. Yeah, it's awesome, man.
That was another race where I learned a valuable lesson that I put into my organization skills. I took my eldest daughter, Sarah Ann, down there for the race, and she made the stock buggy A main. And I was like, no matter where she finished, she's going to have a trophy from the Cactus. And they only gave, I think, top 3 in the A. And I was so disappointed as a parent for my kid. And I'm not talking a participation trophy. You make the A main. I mean, it was a big deal. stock buggy at the Cactus Classic. This was a
Yep.
big deal, and she had made the A, and didn't get a trophy. And I thought, that's not right. You make back then arguably the biggest off-road 10 scale race in the country next to the
Yeah.
Reedy Race. It was a big deal. And I took that with me, and no matter what event I do, I always get everybody in the A main. You make the A main, you deserve an award. Whether you throw it in a bin or whatever, that's up to you. But I felt as an organizer, you deserved it, and I took that from that moment there.
Yeah, man, I can't believe they didn't have awards for after third place.
No, I think it was top three. That's standard at a lot of races and things like that. But
it is one of the biggest races of that time, I think. If you count Reedy Race, the Cactus Classic, and Nationals were probably the three biggest. Maybe CRC, and then those were probably the
big one too. Yeah,
of the year. Some to just dish out only to third.
And that had a big international. It was one of the big ones.
Yeah, it was one of the first, that and the Reedy Race, probably one of the major races in the States where international guys would come over and compete. It was awesome. And here we go. Julio says the off-road, the Reedy at the OCRC. For on-road, been to the fort several times, but would love to attend the Florida Winter Nats there.
Winter Nats, that was a big race back in the day. Team Low C Winter Nats at Lake Park. Man, that was if he's talking about the off-road one. Otherwise, the Florida Winter Nats there's an on-road race there too. But do you remember that back in the day? Car action, the stories coming out for the Winter Nats. That was back in the 90s.
Yeah, I always waited for every year's Winter Nationals report because you got to see, a picture of the winners' cars.
Yeah.
You got to see a top shot of their chassis.
6 months, 8 months after the race, but it finally came. Car action finally came out.
Yeah, how they wired, what they machined, like what that's what I was into, was waiting around for those things to kind of catch up on and see what what the pros were running. It was so hard because if you weren't at the races, there was no way to really know, and then you would have to wait 4 months, 5 months after the race was done to hear about it in car action, so you can look and see. It was crazy. Now it's like the dude hasn't even won the race, but you can see a chassis focus,
exactly.
Here it is. Oh, there it is. That's what he's okay. Cool. Hope he wins. So it's definitely different now.
For sure. There's some names popping up here I haven't seen in quite a while. It's Mike Wise. What's up? I saw him last week. He's another good race director. He's from Ohio area. He's ran a hell of a race this last weekend at the Great Lakes.
Yep, class dismissed. That's two. Mike Wise and Matt McDonald. Dismissed, man.
Yeah, what's up, Donut? Matt McDonald. He's one of the trackside locals here. Class dismissed. That is a very rare one. Maybe once, maybe twice a year, that'll get brought out, and that's it's pretty crazy. It's got to be something pretty epic for me to say that.
Donut. That's funny.
Donut. That's his nickname.
So Aaron Harmison says he lives in Illinois and enjoyed going to he always enjoyed watching the Byron's Field Challenge in Juliet. Where is there an on-road track now since it's gone?
Yeah, unfortunately, leisure hours closed. Leisure hours has been a staple in Joliet, Illinois for 20 some more than that years. They closed a few years ago. So now the nearest nitro on-road track is Toledo. Then there's one in Lincoln, Nebraska. I haven't been to that one, but it's looks really nice. Those are the two like permanent facilities that I know about now. I wish there would be more. We need more on-road tracks for sure.
Yeah, it's Leisure has got just what they were trying to sell the property for a while, and then they finally found a buyer. Is that what kind of happened, or?
Yeah, basically where they were, it was a big train module and train area for industry and stuff like that. And apparently somebody bought it, and he did well on it. So
So
Shout out to Darren Lease is on here. Darren, what's up? Darren, a longtime racer back in the day. There's another Losi guy,
there we
tried and
go.
true Losi guy through back in the day. And oh, is he live? I think he lives in Hawaii now.
What?
I think, or he moved there. He was there or something. I don't know. So much changed and everything. But Darren used to be the man back in the day, running a lot of off road back in the day. And good to have you follow along, Darren. Roger Bustos, ¿cómo está, pare? Filipino brother, how you doing? Good to have you following along. Ryan Prattle from the greater Chicagoland area. Bobby Flack, I mentioned him earlier. Bobby helped me
Yeah.
so much this summer. We were talking about him earlier in my nitro, but Bobby, thanks for all your help this summer. It's been a true joy racing with you, and looking forward. You going down to the Nats in Texas, Bobby? There's a picture of Roger and his baby.
Yep. All right.
Brandon Damo going to Motorama. Yep, that's going to happen. I'll be at Motorama for sure doing the big 8-scale track. Maybe Thomas is going to go to Motorama next year. You're going to have to, maybe. I think it's good. It's the week before DNC, so maybe you're going to have to go to, I mean, we got to get Dakota Finn there running some electric. Come on.
Yeah, it's a little bit close.
There.
See, unfortunately, that's
I
the
know,
race.
I know.
I know. I would love to because it's great racing and it's a fun event. The expo there, it's fantastic. Been there before. I actually the first time I ever ran an e-buggy for the first time was at Motorama. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. No, I got. Hey Scotty. Hey, can you just drop me in the e-buggy class? Because and you're like, okay, cool. And then I was like, yeah, this is the first time I've ever driven an e-buggy, so this will be an interesting experience. It was a lot of fun. Like I had a blast, man. You know, the first time I ever wheeled something, first time I ever raced in the 8-scale e-buggy, first time I ever touched one, worked on one. It was the first time out, and I was just like super green.
And I'm sure you dominated.
I didn't know what I was doing. I don't even know how the result was. I'm pretty sure I struggled, but a lot of fun because it was something so new and so different. They were so different from driving 10-scale cars. You know, the track size, the car's movement in the air was so much more radical. They just had a ton of power when you punch it. They're a beast, and it took me a while to kind of get used to driving them aggressive like you're supposed to. You can't just ginger these things around like a 2-wheel. You know, it's you got to hammer on these things. It's how they kind of produce grip. And yeah, it was a fun experience. But Motorama, I would love to, man. I really would, because it's such a fun race, and like I said, it's the whole expo thing that makes it so cool.
Right.
You know, it's not just the racing side, but you can kind of bounce around and check out all the other car shows and other things that's happening at the event. But let's see. Yeah, so this is like very like Dakota's usually in, so it's the first nitro race of the year, and most of these guys don't really run all year long just because of the weather, obviously. And so he usually comes out a week early to do some testing with the team and kind of get back up to speed with the nitro program and do a lot of testing. And then obviously the DNC happens, and it's, you know, hopefully we've worked out all the bugs, and then the DNC usually is our first real go at it for the 8-scale stuff, or kick off the year, the 8-scale year. So this year has been a little different, though. We've got a lot of races coming up still. Southern Nationals, 2 weeks away, or 2-3 weeks, something like that, 3 weeks away. And then AMS is now in November because it's rescheduled. So that will be a fun race. Looking forward to going to that. So a couple late 8-scale races happening that usually don't happen this late. There's also a fall brawl that happens. I think I want to say early December or
that's
November.
BTRC's one, right?
Yeah, really fun race at the Badlands there. So that's happening too. So there's a few 8-scale races on the East Coast still going down. Looking forward to attending those races and seeing what we can do as a team there, and just to kind of close out the year. It's been an interesting year looking back, Scotty, with the racing and with the events. And just lots have happened, and hopefully things will kind of shift back into going to back to normal.
I think it will. And as you said, it's been crazy, but so many races now jammed and moved into the third and fourth quarters of the year.
Yeah.
It's gonna make it tough for the teams and for the independent guys that like to attend all the big races. It's gonna be, a lot of them tied up. But I think once we get around the new year and everything is going to start getting back into the normal schedule and things like that, I think 2021 is actually going to be kind of positive, and I think it's going to be. I think there'll be more races and well attended because everybody has had this lull here. They've missed it. Some people have moved on, started getting I racing or stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I think that kind of stuff is going to have its place. But I think the hands-on racing you can do with RC, that is hard to duplicate in another hobby. Whether you took up bowling or shooting or archery or I racing or whatever, the hands-on standing next to somebody on the driver's stand and just that competitiveness that we get from our hobby, unless you're jumping into full scale racing, it's very hard to duplicate that emotion. And I think people that this summer have found another outlet to do things, I think a majority of them will come back because I think once you have that passion of racing, it's hard to completely get out of your system.
Yeah, I feel like there's people that take breaks, they'll be gone for 4 years or 10 years or 2 years, or they'll take a break, they'll venture in to do something else. And to me, it's just it's RC and racing is just one of those hobbies that you can do at any time in your lifetime. Like you can do it when you're young, or do it when you're old, or do it when you're um at any state. It's doable for you. So
I think so. Doug Gott's on here. Hi, Doug. How are
yeah,
you? Made a
he just made a comment.
question about
Chili bowl.
Chili Bowl. Yeah, Doug, for sure. We're full steam ahead for the Chili Bowl. Entries go live. I think it's 20. Trying to go memory here. I think it's the 25th of this month that will open the entries, and I think all indications from Tulsa and the Expo Square where we hold the race that it sounds like everything's going to be okay. Granted, we don't know what'll happen, but once everything gets through the rest of the year, I'm sure everything is going to be okay, and we'll have we'll be able to have a good event there. It's a good time for sure, and hope you're going to be able to make it. And yeah, I think there's more and more off-road guys getting into it because there are a lot of buggy conversions, as you said here in your comment. So I think we'll have a full house again for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll come back. I think like Bobby says, a few years off does wonders. So sometimes it's actually nice to step away from RC for a little bit, and try other things, and then come back and get a refresh, and jump back in, and you're familiar with everything. You know what the program's supposed to be. You got new cars, you got new tracks, perhaps, or new buddies. So it's a kind of a rehash, and sometimes that refresh. Um, Feel is back when you take a couple years off. I took 10 years off, came back, and it was totally in love with RC again. So I think it's just something when if you're heavy into it at some point in your life, I think it just becomes something that's a part of you. And for some people, it's they do it continuously for a long periods of time, and sometimes for people it's little kind of spots of years, of 5 years or so. And and it's okay. People go in and they come back, and that's totally fine too. So
Not me, man. I could never take time
look at
off from racing,
Antonio, man.
and
He said,
I couldn't.
I'm coming back from the hobby after almost 20 years. Seems like quite a few people are coming back after long periods as well. So
I
yeah,
think
see?
once it's in your system, I
Yeah,
think you always, if you're gone, as you said, Tom, you stepped away too, and as Julio said, back at it. I think you find it, and for guys like Julio have been gone for 20 years, how much has changed since then? The batteries and the motors, and now it's simplified in so many ways. So I think it's awesome.
yeah. So yeah, take a break. It's not a deal breaker. It's okay. And hopefully people are taking their breaks during this low, and then when everything kind of picks back up, everybody will come back. That's the wish, right?
For sure. Hey, Phil Goodwine just popped in. Phil
Yeah.
is his family. They're owners of Steel City out in California. We were talking about, my experiences out there earlier in the broadcast and everything. And I don't know,
2021. It's on.
you're on fifth scale.
Fifth
That would
scale.
be,
Yeah, keep going up.
yeah, exactly. Rick's got a lot of experience in fifth scale too, so I don't know if I want to dip my foot in that pool. But Phil, when I had a blast out there last month when I was there for the KO, you and Kyle and the family just put on an awesome race. And Thomas and everybody watching, California, it's very strict on the rules and everything like that with the virus and everything. But they had a plan. They put these dividers between everybody on the driver's stand, so you had glass dividers. They made sure everybody wear a mask. And yes, I'm going to say this now. In my main, I got a stop and go penalty from Phil Goodwine because my mask fell down on the driver's stand.
Uh-huh.
So during the driving, I got the headset on, so I'm talking to my mechanic, and my mask I just had one of those ones that fit over your whole face, and it kind of went down. And I hear him give a guy stop and go for the other guy on the driver's stand, and I'm like, oh no. And that's when I realized my mask was like down to here. And I'm like, oh, I'm like 1 minute from my pit stop. Don't see me, don't do it. And sure enough, Scotty Ernst, stop and go. I'm like, oh man.
Oh
He
man.
called me on it for sure. I busted his chops afterward, but he did the right thing. He was fair to everybody for sure.
That's the way they be, man. You don't give Scotty any passes. Don't do that, Phil.
I don't deserve any, but no,
once he finds a little wiggle room, this guy, man, he just starts shaking and bobbing and weaving, going all over.
But we had a good time out there for sure. So I look forward to going back next year.
So let's talk about the next step, the future of racing. Where does racing go?
Move.
From 2021 and on forward. What happens? Do we just keep racing the way we are? If the pandemic keeps going as it probably will be until there's a vaccine, what happens to our RC racing? Do we change? Does it morph into something else? How do we keep it going?
I don't think it's going to stop. I think it will keep going. I think we'll find ways, much like I said, Phil, and they found things with the dividers and a strict mask rule and things like that. Honestly, I think it's going to be like many things in America. I think the virus is big now. I think it's slowly going to go away and it's going to be forgotten about. And, you're going to go to the store and you're going to slowly see your plexiglass start to go away. And, they're not going to be cleaning the shopping carts anymore when you go in, and things are just going to evolve. And I think as more and more data comes out about this, we'll truly learn how big or how not so big of a crisis this was. And I think racing will move on. I don't know if our industry is going to be able to change the format. You said if there's going to be a new way to do the racing. I don't know if our industry is too big now, and the machine is going that people don't like change. I'm the kind of guy that I think change is good in many ways, but I think, to get our industry to start to change races, or, I've always been a fan of lap races. I don't necessarily like time races. Really? Yeah, I've always been it. We've done that trackside back in my early years in the late 90s. We always used to have a lot of lap races and things like that, because full scale racing is lap races, unless it's an enduro or something like that. So I'm a big fan of lap races because I still think it keeps more excitement. If somebody in an 8 scale buggy race has got 2.5 laps on the field and time expires, they're going to win. Well, if they got a 2-lap lead, but they have problems 10 feet from the finish line, they're not going to win. You know what I mean? So I think it adds a bit more excitement to it, that lap races. The greatest, I'll probably say one of the greatest races I've ever been involved in, and was the Manufacturers Cup out in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It was a 8-scale buggy race, and some of the folks on here might remember that. I took my daughter Sarah Ann out there. We just went there to race. I wasn't involved in everything like that. And they set up an 8-scale buggy race in this vacation town, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and they told everybody in the town, you need to go to this race. And it was the superstars are coming to our town. These people didn't know who they were, but they, Rich, I'm trying to remember. I feel bad. I can't remember his name because it was an epic race. Gary Guest was one of the MCs, but Rich, McCreary, McCreary and his team put on an amazing race, built a track, and it was the simplest 8-scale track you've ever seen. It was sugared, so it didn't blow out, it didn't dust, but it wasn't crazy. They had one big 40-foot tabletop jump on the back straightaway that was right in front of the spectator. But they had hay bales everywhere. They had scaffolding that all the banners were on. You thought you were at a supercross race. And they, on main day, they set up a table that Adam Drake, Mike Truey, Ryan Mayfield, they all set them up. They had programs. And the fans came in thinking these guys are absolute rock stars because they were told they are. These are the best drivers in the world. And people were there getting signatures and everything. And it was awesome. And Jimmy Babcock was the announcer. And unfortunately, his voice kind of went away halfway through. So they came up to me and said, "Hey, Scotty, hey, how you doing? Hey, can you help us out?" So I jumped up there, and it was awesome. And it was a lap race. And it was one of my greatest memories because that was back in the T-Max days. Steve Sladen was the big Traxxas T-Max guy. And we had 3 classes. We had monster truck, truggy, and buggy. And they got Honda involved, and you won. If you won monster truck race, you won a Honda pit bike. If you won the truggy race, you won a ATV. And if you won the pro buggy, you won, I think, a 250 or a 450. I think Truey still got the bike. I think he won it. But it was so awesome. It was a lap race, and people were cheering. They were cheering and getting on their feet for monster truck. And the coolest thing, and I've told this story before, but it's nitro buggy A-main. It's under the lights. It's nighttime. Sun's just starting to go down, and they do driver's introductions. And they roll them out from the pit lane one by one. So as these guys would roll out, I was reading through the sponsor sheet, and they would drive a circuit. So the fans could know, okay, this is Mike Truey's car and stuff like that. And this is one of the greatest things I'll ever recall, and it was awesome. So you got all the best guys there, okay? A Honda 450 or whatever on the line, plus whatever bonuses the pros would make for winning this race. And it's time for Adam Drake out of the pit lane down there as I'm reading through it. So this is before the race, okay, before with everything on the line. Adam goes up, sets up for the tabletop, and does a backflip on the warm-up lap while I'm doing introduction. The crowd goes bonkers. Adam got the reason why we were there. He threw everything to the wind. He could have kitted up his car if he destroyed it doing that backflip, but he put it on for the show.
Yeah.
And whether you're a fan of his or not, that moment I became a fan of his because it was that moment he knew the bigger picture, and he did it for the show, and the people went crazy. And it was an awesome race. And I've told that story numerous times. And it was arguably one of the best races ever. The crowd, there had to be 3,000 people there at least just cheering. And it was an awesome race. That was it. So it was a lap race. So the spectators knew that in 40 laps, the winner, 5 laps to go, 4 laps to go.
Here we go. It's like,
so it was pretty awesome.
So if it was such an awesome race from your perspective, presentation was perfect, the award thing was perfect. It sounds like they're doing all the right steps. Why is it we can't recreate that event and just kind of
one word? Money. Money.
So how much do you think
I found out later through the grapevine, they lost a lot. You know what I mean? The money they had to put up to buy, Honda was part of it, and we thought they donated, and I could be wrong. This is just a rumor mill that you hear. Right. I thought Honda put up the 3 things, but I found out that the organizers ended up buying those at cost. Again, I could be wrong, but this is just what I understand. So all that they had to do, and everything that the production to do it, it's a massive amount of money. And it's just, that is the problem, being able to afford to do that. I think one of the big things that I don't know how we can do it or why is the parking lot outside a Supercross race is a perfect example to pile up some dirt, put some bike fencing around it, and get 12 of the best 8 scale racers from around just putting on a show, race after race after race for the fans. You know what I mean? It's got, but trying to get the right person, you can pick up the phone, and I've learned it so many years of, calling corporations, you can never get to the yes guy. You get to the no person. Nope, 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 no, nope. You can't get up the chain of command to the yes guys unless you know somebody to circumvent all the no people to get that. But I think if we could put a race on, and I'm not talking a 500 entry race, just a demo race, to get Jared and Adam and Ryan and all these guys there, to put on a show, just a dozen of the best. Heck, most of them live on the West Coast. You know what I mean? That could do that just to put on, every 20 minutes, you do a 10 lap, heads up race just to put on a show. I think it'd be awesome and a great way for us to get that in front of the spectators. I'd love to be able to do that.
I think I know a guy.
You know a guy. Yeah. Yeah. Hard to get to the yes guy though.
I think I know a guy. I think I might know a yes guy. We'll see.
Oh, it'd be awesome to do it. You get, you don't have to build a huge track. It doesn't have to be, super. You get Joey Christensen to come in and do it, and he'll knock it out in no time. And just, something to put on a show for the spectators on a Saturday afternoon when everybody's starting to go into the Supercross, give them some more entertainment. The parking lot's open. Just get some dirt. I think it would be a great thing.
So here we go. Here's a good question. Prior to the COVID, does Scotty feel like there's too many races that are affecting the club race scene? What do you think about the big races, the 2-day races, the 3-day races?
I think yes and no, Dale. I think there are two sides to look at that. I think the big races are important. Yes, there's for sure too many of them. I'm one of the culprits, organizing, a lot of races and stuff like that. But there's a desire for the big races, and I put they're out there, but I put the onus on the local tracks to make it more inviting for the guys to come on a Tuesday night or a Friday night to just come have some fun. That I'll come down there for you get there at 6 o'clock, you're done by 10 o'clock or whatever. You can have fun. So I think there's ways that the local tracks can keep that going in whatever form of racing you have and things like that. And I can only, my biggest experiences at trackside here, from when I had to race or even now when I'm just a customer of theirs, they still get huge turnouts on their club racing, even though there's the race, there's a race down at in Illinois this weekend. We'll still get 70, 80 guys on a Friday night or something like that. And so I think there's room for both the people that want to travel, but then there's a lot of people that don't want to travel at the big races and they want to stay local. So I think both can coexist.
Yeah, I think, club racing is great, but it's always going to kind of be the same thing, right? Say you club race at your local track for 2 years or twice a week, and you do that for 2-3 years. You're kind of in your system, and it's eventually kind of the same thing. Where's the new challenge? Where's the new experiences? So I think naturally, people want to attend the bigger races. There's more appeal, there's more competition, there's meeting more people, learning more things that you can't get from club racing. So there's always going to be a desire, I think, for the big races because they bring out the best in the area, talent from out of town. It gives you an opportunity to race with people that you might not always get to do. So, but you can always go back and club race at your local track, right? And it's kind of the same experience. You know what you're getting. So eventually, I think when people start to kind of get, they've done the club racing, they've spent years, at the local track club racing, they're looking for something new, something different, a different challenge, a different experience. And that's it. I think that's why you see a lot of people kind of save up and attend these bigger races because, the PMBs, the Wicked Weekends, the Masters of Dirt, they save up for it because they know it's going to be a different event from their club race.
For
Naturally.
sure. And you get a chance to meet, the superstars that people follow online or whatever, and, get up and, get pictures with the big names. You get to meet, cool team managers like Thomas Tran, all those big things you get to do when you go to the big races.
Hey, dude, all these, like every race I go to, when I worked with Scotty, everybody's waiting and lined up talking to Scotty. No one
Yeah,
ever,
right.
ever wanted to be like, "Oh, there's Thomas. Let me go shake his
Yeah.
hand. let me let me say hi to Thomas real quick." It's like, nah, they always saying hi and
That
byes.
was that
I'm
was in your early
like,
years though, bro. That was
I'm
in
like,
your early years. Now,
hey,
now you
I'm here too. Hi, hi, I'm here. Hi,
come
but
on. I
yeah.
don't know. I can go back through all the J Concept videos. There's a lot of guys giving you props, and now it's just like anything. You've grown in the industry from before you were with me, you were doing your own thing at Two Wheel Drive Mod, right? And then
Yeah,
I said, hey, this guy's pretty good. I wonder if he wants to go on tour with me. So then you went with me. Then you moved on. You left Scotty.
that was
Bye, Terry. I'm done. I'm moving on.
I the funny thing is when I had toolmod.com and I was trying to build my skill, um, honestly, that like when you and Jason, it kind of happened about the same time. When you and Jason both kind of reached out and expressed interest, that was like a dream come true at that point in my life and that step. Like I was like, I got an email from Scotty Ernst, like, holy cow, is this because I've said it to my friends and said it to the people that I race with locally. I'm like, man, if I could ever get on this tour thing with Scotty or get on the national scene somehow, do my little thing, my media reporting, my media stuff, like this would be awesome. Like, but I just never really thought that could actually, it was going to happen. So when I met you at a race and you're like, hey, you're Thomas Tran, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, hey, I'd like to talk to you if you have some time to maybe do some work for me. I'm like, what? It was kind of like Mike Reedy asking you to come aboard and do the Reedy Race. I'm like, are you, is this really like, dude, I'll I'll do this for free. Like, Scotty, I mean, come on,
Yeah.
like, so that was the same kind of feeling for me when I got asked to come along and work for you and cover your races. That was the same feeling. I was like, dude, is this really, like, this guy really wants me to, okay, I'll do this for free, but I'm not gonna tell him that.
Exactly.
Because it was a chance of a
Exactly
lifetime.
right.
I knew if it was to work, I knew what kind of person I was in terms of like my motivation and my own skill set. And so I knew that if I got my foot in the door, that's all I would need, you know. And then yeah,
That's true. It's worked.
fast forward a
Yeah.
few years, and I moved over to J Concepts, learned a lot from Jason, got a lot of experience traveling and doing all the races for him. And then kind of this one kind of opened up. I never thought a team manager position would open. I thought they would always kind of stay taken. So like Brent, I don't see him moving out of AE. I wasn't expecting Kevin to be gone from TLR, so I just was happy doing what I was doing at J Concepts. But you never know what happens, man. You just kind of have to be ready. And yeah, crazy how that worked out, but I'm glad it did. Um, all right, let's catch up on some of the talk. There's lots going on the right side of here. Lots of comments. Bring back the voluntary lap or die race at an event and see how it goes. What is this voluntary lap or die?
I don't know.
Because
I'm not
yeah, Brad,
familiar.
actually
Volunteer
might
lap or die race.
yeah, I don't know what that really.
Yeah,
Brad, explain yourself
I,
if you're still watching.
I got I did a race. We had a race a couple years ago where they had a Joker lane.
Yeah,
That was awesome. Everybody went to the race. They were all poo pooing it, thinking, oh, this is a stupid idea, blah, blah, blah. It was so much fun. It was really, really awesome that you didn't, everybody had to do the Joker lane one time and you didn't know when to do it. And it was really a lot of fun and added some strategy to the racing. I know. I think it was short course. I ended up TQing short course, and I was trying to think. Okay,
Do you,
when do I do it? Do I
do you
do it on
take
the?
it all of them at the beginning, or do you wait
Well,
at the
I
end?
think it was only one lap, and
Oh, okay.
I couldn't remember. So I think I ended up taking it on the first lap because I was out front, and I didn't
Yeah.
want to. So I just.
It's
I
smart move to take it on the if you're TQ, you take it on the first lap, because if you don't, somebody else does. You're no longer leading the race. You're in third or fourth. If a
right.
couple guys jump through, and you're like, oh my gosh, now the pressure's different. Mentally, you're like dealing with the fact that you are TQ, but now you're fourth, and like, ugh,
But
and
that's what made it so cool. It added a whole nother. We talk about changing the format. It
yeah,
added a whole nother curveball to that racing in
mhm.
qualifying or whatever. And I thought it was a lot of fun. And the
Is it?
cool thing is, lifetime scoring has a feature where you can do it and everything. So it worked out great.
Do you feel like it's a gimmicky thing, or do you feel
Sure,
like
it's
it's
no, there's no question it's a gimmick, but in many times in life, gimmick things work. You know what I
yeah?
mean? That they can enhance your experience for whatever it is. And I can only speak. I was a participant in that race. It absolutely made it more enjoyable. Sure, people aren't going to like it, but man, it changed everything because guy was not on a TQ pace and he didn't do his Joker line lap yet, so he was able to do it, and so it was a lot of fun. I liked it, so that was something that was cool.
Here's some responses here. Luke, chiming back here. He actually says,
Yes,
yeah. So he was
2008
actually,
Manufacturers Cup.
yeah. He's seen it. He's seen the video of the race. The stands were packed. People. I haven't seen this video. Have you seen it? I'll have to look
Yeah,
and find.
look it up. Manufacturers Cup. It was awesome. It was in a outdoor rodeo arena in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and it was an awesome weekend. It was, it's a kind of North Woods kind of, pine tree kind of town that is like a tourist town. There was a big lake somewhere near, and
Ozark.
it was, for sure one of the memories of major events that'll go down in my memory as one of the greatest. Rick and his crew just did an amazing job.
All right, here's Luke, another Luke, actually chiming in about big race do encourage growth, just his opinion. Yeah, I
I,
agree.
I agree. Yeah,
You
for
know
sure,
that,
Luke. I think you're right.
and then Barry comes back with club racing is a good way to hone your racecraft. It's a great
Absolutely.
practice opportunity to try things, try different setups, maybe try different tire sauces, try different tire preps. Club racing kind of gives you that platform to try those things and compare it to the guys that you normally race with to see where you stack up, if it works, if it doesn't work. It's very. I still believe club racing is very important. Don't get me wrong. It just doesn't provide the same experience that a big race provides. You know,
Except
yeah,
Except we'll go back to Barry here. Back in the day when Barry was racing all the time, you'll
yeah.
go
We got
down to SoCal Raceway and it's a who's who of national champions there. Kinwald's there every day. Hodap's there. Baker's there. You know what I mean? On a club
yeah,
race, you got half the A main is the national championship A main. So,
yeah. He's honing in his
yeah,
racecraft.
absolutely. I remember the first time I went out to California for the Tamiya Championship Series, and this is when SoCal, the indoor dirt with the big white pipes and everything, and we go there, and there's this table here, just full of stuff, and it's all the Kinwald stuff.
Mm.
Kinwald wasn't there, but all his stuff is just laid out, and we're like, oh my god, this is Brian Kinwald's, pit spot and everything, and it was awesome. And then back in the day, they moved, and then there was Barry, I can't remember where it was, had the indoor asphalt track and the off road. I think it was SoCal when they moved, and then they run on road, off the bank and everything like that. But it was a who's who of racing back in the day, and yeah, so their club racing was on a different level than yours and
Their
mine,
coverage
at
was
my
exactly
local
the same
track. Yeah.
practice. Like, yeah, not the same club club racing. Mike actually puts up a good point here in his comment. What do you think about running a Friday, like I'm at a big race, running a Friday sportsman, Saturday intermediate, a Sunday pro, and age classes? You can save money on hotels, and you don't have to miss work by running each program in each day. Um, it pretty much probably could fit in a day schedule. This way.
I think it's good. And, coming from a guy like Mike, you can see it in a nice picture, the whole family. The boys have grown up, racing and they're wheels now, but it's a great idea. But then you got to throw in the whole practice. Okay, now when do you got to go and practice? So if you have a format like this, do you only have practice for a couple hours? Otherwise, you got to be there Thursday anyways, and everything. And it's really tough, Mike, to try to find a formula that works so you don't have to take leave on a Wednesday, get there on Thursday and everything. That's so tough.
Or be there all day, 12 plus hours,
Correct.
to for your couple heats. It is very hard to balance, and I've talked about this with a lot of people. And the idea of a big race is kind of have that big race feel, right? If everybody was given specific times, you guys we're not all together in one area at one time. So it would kind of be kind of an empty field race for, the sportsman guys. If there's only 20 of those dudes, they come in and it's just 20 sportsman guys. They run their show. They're done in 4 hours. Then you run the other guys. It doesn't get that packed house where, sometimes and it sucks because, I like to look back at the pits and then everybody's there and the whole pits, there's no open space anywhere.
Yeah.
I love seeing that and looking at, the pit area and the pit rooms and just seeing it maxed out. I hate looking at the pit area when it's like half full and I'm like, oh man, this race didn't turn out so good, or people decided to go something else, or it just doesn't feel like a packed house. It just doesn't have that big race feel anymore when you split groups up like that way. But not all races need to have that big race feel. Like for instance, the on-road race in Florida. You have your time slots. You just show up a few minutes, like and your IIC races, you're on a schedule, so you really didn't need to be in the room all day to compete.
Mike, you're right. You just have the practice, in the morning, but does that take away, as Thomas said, does that take away from the whole experience that, the sportsman or the intermediate just that day? It does break things up, but it may take away, and it's a perfect thing to talk about. It definitely to have the discussion to find a way to do that, because the events are so big.
Yeah, especially with the huge events that border 800 people.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's a good idea. It's been around for a while where we split the groups up. It's kind of what they do at PNB in a way. Like all the pros run in a block, so it's like sportsmen in whatever tier order they have. But the way they schedule it is that all the pros kind of run in a certain block of the day, so that they don't have to like be there all day. They can just be there for that chunk of time when they run the pro stuff, and then it moves on to something else. So then you can leave and do other things. But yeah, balancing how much track time and the big race feel is definitely hard. It's obviously the idea is to have the A mains with the biggest crowd, with racers there and people watching. It just makes it feel a little bit more legit when there's, only the pros there. There's probably maybe, 20 pros racing, and that's only them. It just, it just has a different feel. Not that it's wrong, but it's kind of not the same if there's not like the whole, track watching the A mains. But it's not like it's perfect right now, like some of the A mains, people are packed up and ready to go like before the A mains even roll around. So they're already gone. So yeah, it's hard to kind of figure out a program or a format that can fit and cater without having to lose too much time or spend too much time taking days off before races, taking days off after races, and being at the track, 12, 14, 16 hours sometimes each day. I know one of your things, Scotty, is actually trying to shut down the program early so that everybody can have a decent dinner.
Yeah, it's something I've tried to do, for many, many years because I'm a racer. If the track's open at midnight, I'm going to be there, because your competitor is. But if you have a hard rule that boom, we shut it down because I want people to go out, socialize, enjoy their time wherever it is, go out and hang out at the restaurant, and I think that's an important thing. So I've always been a believer in that, of not after we're done have 5 more hours of open practice, things like that. Shut it down. We did it. I learned it in the early years of the Novak race. Racing was done. Shut it down. Everybody goes to restaurants, get a good night's sleep, and be ready to hit at 8 o'clock the next morning. So I enjoy doing that.
Yeah, here's a good comment or an issue. It's too bad that big races that the promoters can't get people to marshal the event and don't have to struggle getting the marshals on the track after their races. Sometimes this is a big issue, man. Like I'll be at some events and there's just only 6 people in the heat, and there's just not enough corner marshals, or I'll be in I'll be watching the heat that had 20 guys in the heat, and there's only 5 corner marshals, man. Only 5 of them come back out. It seems like it's just an ongoing problem. You think people would figure it out by now, but they still really haven't. Like, I've been at races where the promoters or the RD is having to beg people to come out just to help and get the program moving.
I think there's 2 sides of it. If there's a heat with only 6 guys and you have to fill 12 spots, okay, that's a different issue where you need that. I mean, you can go back and look at, well, maybe they should have packed the heats a little bit more so the race director is not in that predicament. But at a big race where there was 15 guys in that heat, you know what I mean, there's no question. You just have to absolutely rule it like a dictator. If you're not there, you penalize them. You just have to do it. I can honestly say in all my years, I've never had to penalize somebody for not marshaling. I've never, ever had to do that, because I think if you're firm enough out front, you will do it. But at a big race like the PMB, I've never been there. I couldn't imagine what Jimmy and his team go through to try to do that. But you just have to, you just have to do it. And, if somebody's not there, if, Billy's not there, Bob's there, or a representative for him, boom, take their best qualifier, whatever. Yeah, it's easy for me to say it. I'm not there. But if you have a race with 800 entries, you have to click things along. There is no time to waste. And waiting for marshal is something that you absolutely cannot do. And, and that big of an event with a production, I mean, I would have a track marshal. I'd have one of my staff down there with a clipboard and a heat sheet. And all right, Jimmy's here, Bobby's here, boom, boom, boom. Where, be in communication with the race director, say, Sally Smith is not here. Where are you? Call them out. Boom. You're not there. You're not there.
But the fact that we have to have somebody monitor.
Yeah, but that's human nature.
God, I just don't get it.
I saw something on. I saw
get your
something
car,
on.
You turn it off. You go to the track. You corner marshal. How hard is that to still not get people?
How hard is it to put your shopping cart back in the parking lot after you go to the grocery store?
I do it every time.
Exactly. I saw something on Facebook. Somebody had a nice thing about it. That is the perfect example of 2 kinds of people. Yeah. The person who takes it back and the person who doesn't. The person who doesn't and is lazy, they're a lowlife. There's no reason you don't take it back, except laziness.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. Granted, if your buddy's in the next race or whatever, you need to plan that ahead of time, that you're prepared, or you're pitting for him or whatever. It's your responsibility. Problem with society, people don't take responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault, or they'll do it without me. The race director will find somebody for me. No, it's your responsibility. It needs to be, responsibility.
If you're capable and able, physically, I get it when if you're sick or you have an injury, it happens. I
But
had, I got jumped into at P&B or at DNC by a car, and my leg was bruised up. I really couldn't do much. I was no in any shape be able to corner marshal 8 scale cars. So
right,
uh, I wouldn't be corner marshaling. But if you're capable and able, and you just finished running your car, it's like now it's time to go corner marshal. This is like the first basic step
of
that we
racing for sure.
we learn when we come to the track. As a racer, is you finish racing, you go turn marshal, or some places turn marshal before you go. I don't know, some weird stuff. But
Well,
yeah,
it's
I'm
you're right,
still
Thomas.
shocked that people still just can't get back to the track to corner marshal and be like, all right, I'm here. Let's go. Because when I go corner marshal, I'm like, let's go. I got stuff to do after this, so I'm waiting
Yeah,
for corner marshals to get out there so I can finish corner marshaling so I can go do what I need to do. You know,
and it's
but
everybody's responsibility to do it. And you mentioned
yeah,
about somebody that's hurt or can't do it. The problem is, I've through my years, I've seen so many of those guys come up to me and say, "Hey, Scotty, I can't marshal." Okay, I understand it. It's still your responsibility to find
fine,
somebody to
but
marshal for you, where they always put it on the race director, and for sure that's not right. And I know in the later years of my career here, if you come up and say, I got my Achilles heels broke, I'm
yeah,
sorry, okay, but ask one of your buddies to marshal. It's not my job to find you, somebody because that is responsibility number one. You
as a
race, and as you said,
if
you marshal. And
yeah.
it is disappointing that a lot of people don't have the respect for the organizer and the event to do that straight away.
All right, so moving on to Darren. He's got a good question here. Big races can be hard on the local racers, man. They were fast until the fast guys show up. Then many quit because they aren't as good as they thought. What do you think about that one here? Did that happen? Does that happen? Did you get your butt kicked and you're like, oh man, I'm just not fast. I quit. Like,
Oh
does that
yeah,
happen?
I'm sure, through the years for sure. Darren's been around the block more than once, and he's seen it when he used to run at Patty's track at Lake of the Hills, and he was in Chicago and Wisconsin. He raced along, and there's a lot of guys, they're local track heroes. You know what I mean? They're aces at their track, but as soon as they start getting challenged or they're not top dog, they're like, all right, I'm out. So
There,
it's
there's a moment, okay, like in a racer's career, right? And you can probably kind of follow me on this one. So when you're new, right? You're a new kid on the block. You're the one chasing everybody, right? And you're chasing the fast guy. You're inching closer and closer and closer and closer. You're closing that gap to the fastest guy on the track, right? And then you beat him, and then you get sponsored and get all the cool stuff that you're supposed to get when you get fast, right? There's a point where you become the fast guy, right? And it's hard for you to lose a race now. Like this, the role switches. Instead of
mm-hmm.
being the chaser, you're getting chased, right? And then once you start losing a couple club races, it doesn't feel good because you lost the title of being the fastest dude. Everybody looks up to you for car setup or tire setup, or you win races like if you're lap down, it didn't matter. You just win. But then when you're getting chased and there's moments where you feel like you could get beat, people will actually race less and be like, you know what, I'm kind of busy, and you know what, I'm not going to go to the track. And then they actually start to shy away and start racing less because they don't like getting beat. They don't want to pass the torch.
Sure, but I think that goes to their own mentality and their own personal. If you can't overcome adversity, you're afraid of challenges and everything like that, then that's going to be a life lesson, not only in racing, that you have to learn to
Deal
work
with the
harder,
pressure.
or learn more or study harder or whatever it is. Just I think that's a internal thing with that person for sure, but we've all seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it all of the time. Like the local fast guy, then I can see that they're the fast dude, and next thing you know, somebody else is starting to come up in a year or
Yeah,
two. It's somebody else that's challenging, and that one fast guy kind of disappears for a bit, and then comes back later a little bit fast. You know what I mean? And so it's just like it's hard sometimes to kind of give up the throne once you've earned it, you spent the time, you sit on top of the throne as the fastest dude at your local track. People, everybody looks up to you. And then,
Right.
like you said, sometimes you go to a big race, you don't realize, the speed and competition is just higher, and it's tough.
Absolutely.
All right, so here we go. Problem is, a lot of club racers don't want to go to big races out of fear. It's a whole new level of commitment. What do you think about that, Scotty? Mike's got a good point, I
Um,
think, here. It is kind of intimidating to go to a big race um, for your first time.
yeah, for sure.
You
It's
don't really know what
in
to
many ways,
expect. It could be kind of
especially
tough.
especially if you don't have friends at your local track that have been to the big races that can kind of tell you, okay, these are the things to expect and anticipate and stuff like that. So yeah, in a lot of ways there is some fear and things like that. And I think there's a lot of big races that have some beginner classes and stuff like that to try to make it a little easier for people to go to their first big race,
Yeah.
which is really good. But yeah, I think Mike is right. It definitely can be a cause for pause for people for sure.
Yeah, lately the 21.5 classes for the newer drivers, it's perfect. Fixed gearing,
It's
um,
awesome.
yeah, it's the right speed for most people, especially when they're learning. It's been great. I'm glad that 21.5 has been kind of, for the majority, been adopted across the nation and at all the local tracks around the U.S. here, because I mean, 17.5, man.
It's too
It's
fast. It's so
it is
fast.
it is quick nowadays,
Yeah.
man. It is very fast to keep pushing the limits on motors, to keep pushing the limits on batteries and burst rates and internal resistance and charge rates and discharge rates. It's, the cars in stock, 17.5 stock cars are so quick, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. I know at trackside here locally, they started the 21.5 class, but it's a spec motor that you buy from the shop, and
Yep.
that's the only motor you can use. Like you said, it's fixed gear racing, and that's what they run. And it's a great way for new people to get in. We were talking earlier about, club tracks and how do they get more people running. You have to have something to get people into. And we talked about 17.5 being so fast.
Mhm.
Imagine you come you get a buggy or whatever, and a 17.5, you have no chance to compete against these guys. So the
Mhm.
21.5 is fast enough that it's a good beginner speed. I think with strict rules,
Yep.
you can eliminate all the games that a new person does not know about. But if a new person and his buddy is one of the fast locals, can hook them up with that. The spec everything really solves that. Where the person who works hardest, practices the most, and can
Drives
have the
that.
most success. Right.
So we're gonna say hi to Jonathan Ment. What's up, mate? From Australia, one of the TLR guys from down under. Yeah, so Mike, as you said, Mike stated that you just run the bat practice in the morning. I think for most classes, since it will be under 100 entries, you could probably do 3 qualifiers in the main, and have some practice in the morning. Um, yeah, so it would work for big, huge races like PNB or how it's structured, or like Snowbirds. Snowbirds has their little program. You know what time you're running. Not everybody's in the main pit hall. You go up, you run, you leave, and do your thing. You come back. You know what time you'll be back. So it's
Right.
kind of nice.
And that's the
Uh,
mystique of races like that. That have a schedule like Snowbirds. It's an awesome event. Mike and his crew do a fantastic job. And they know the schedule ahead of time and they stagger it, so you have plenty of time off and everything. It works out well. I want to give a shout out. Shane Borden's on here. Hey Shane, how are you doing? And Matt Del Judas. There's a guy I haven't seen in a while. Matt, I hope you're doing well.
Okay,
Okay.
here's actually Shane has a good comment. Complete agree with you on Thomas, but to add, I think there's also the opposite side where all of a sudden the local fast guy gets about to get beat, starts to go to the track 2 times more than they were able to stay on top. All depends on the person's mentality. So perfect
Absolutely.
example right there. That was what Scott was trying to say, is that sometimes that fear or that not desire of not wanting to get beat, kind of a mental thing. Sometimes when you get beat, most people just kind of grit down and work harder, practice more, and try to overcome deficits. So yeah, definitely a personality thing.
Excuse me.
Oh
Jonathan
man,
Matt, how are you, Jonathan? Go ahead. Sorry,
Matt,
Tom.
there we go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Was at trackside short course champion 1 year, and then went to their showdown. Came around. I didn't even make the B main. Oh man.
Matt is a perfect example of what trackside was. Him and his kids. He came racing when he had kids. He brought the kids racing, and it was just a family that they lived in Illinois. I think he drove. It had to be well over 2 hours. He would come up, but he was always there and always come up. And his family racing. They just love racing, and you know, just a cool part of our trackside family for many years. Even though it wasn't his home track, he'd come up all the time and race with us. So good to have you online, Matt. Hope you and the family are doing well.
All right, Jonathan asks a good question. Shouldn't it be the role of the pros to bring in and encourage the juniors, newbies, novices? After all, that's what we are, ambassadors.
It is, but I think the roles of the pro drivers nowadays has become so stressful and so demanding that it's really tough to do that. And you still see it in some of the old guard, the guys that are still doing, if they get a spare moment or whatever, they'll be on the sideline cheering on the novice class and stuff like that and everything. But it's Thomas, you lead these guys, whether you were at JC or now
Oh,
here at TLR, the demands that, these guys have to have that it's really,
um,
really a challenge.
at a big race, I don't think uh, it's very hard at a big race, just because the amount of attention they have to actually spend and the amount of focus they actually have to spend in their race program is a lot. Um, and it is their job to be ambassadors. It's all of our jobs to be ambassadors as a team driver or a representative of a company. Um, but for those guys, they're getting shipped in there to basically try to win a race, right? The investment of team managers being there, flights, travels, hotels. Um, it would I would love to say that's all for the fans and to grow the hobby and stuff and help the and it's more my role than their role, but at a big race they're very busy and they have money on the line. It's how they make their living. So they're focused on that. Of course, when there's a young kid that wants to come up for an autograph or some a picture or just to say hi, they'll definitely make time for any of those kids and fans and whatnot. But it's hard, to try to pay attention to their racing, to encourage them, and to watch them, because they're trying to put together their race program and trying to win a race for themselves. It's not as easy, and it takes. I mean, I'm in the pits with Dakota, and he's known as the guy that doesn't really wrench very much compared to some of these other dudes, but he's in the pits and he's actually busy the whole time, and he's working on something and I'm working on something, so we're kind of splitting the duties so that we can finish all the stuff that he needs to do. A lot of times, we'll go to the track and watch the track or watch other drivers try certain things on their cars or tires or this or that, so we can get some data. So even just watching the track for those moments, um, that's taking their focus time and their ability to kind of reach out to these new kids and stuff. The best way to actually get kind of involved with these pro guys if you're new is not actually at a big race. It's when they're actually local, doing their club racing stuff, because it doesn't really matter how they finish at their club races. There's no money there. They're just testing something probably. They're breaking something in, so they don't really. I mean, it's not as important. So they have time to kind of mingle and help and give advice and kind of get more involved with the sportsman style racers. Big race is kind of more pressure. They're looking for a certain result. Their career is based on results.
Yep.
Their future is based on the results. So they're kind of focused on something else. But like I said, most of them, if you go up to them, if you say hi and say, hey, can I get a photo, or hey, I had a question about this, they'll drop what they do to help out. Really, most of these guys are awesome at this. Mayfield's probably one of the best. I've seen so many races where people will just randomly come up to Mayfield and be like, hey, this is, they have a Mugen car or something. They'll come up and say, hey, I had a question about this, and he's like, what's up? Let me see it, and just bring it over, and then the guy will come back to the pits and they have his truck, and he'll be able to play with the truck and kind of give him some pointers and stuff. But he usually asks them to bring their cars over so he can look at it. When they say, hey, there's something going on with this, he'll just say, hey, bring it over, let me look. And so they do help, but it's hard for them to pay attention to kind of give new people guidance. If you have questions, you can come see them, and they can try to help and facilitate and pass the knowledge, maybe give you some parts or give you some advice. But in terms of trying to be at a race and trying to help at the same time, it's very hard to do both at a big race. All right. Man, we've got a lot of longer questions now. It used to be like one word, what's up? And Scotty, you're awesome.
Yeah.
And now it's like these long questions. Okay. We're gonna probably shut down this thing in about 10 minutes. So Scotty, you have a couple questions in here that you want to kind of pick and choose to answer
I'm trying
before we close out the night?
Do I just
Yeah,
there's so many here.
Yeah.
Kenny Nebar says, Scotty, you've been at trackside. The Deuce has to move on location. And I haven't. I'm not really involved in that anymore. Jamie Tenney's and Gregory, kind of the chiefs now of that since I moved on. Sold that to him a few years ago. It's still my home track, and I go there and try to race as much as I can. But I know they're unfortunately had to lose the location. The Deuce is their outdoor track, Thomas. They had a really nice outdoor track, just like 10 minutes or so north of the track. So I'm sure they're trying to find something for next summer to be able to do it. It's summer's so tough. We get 3-4 months of nice weather here in Wisconsin. So I'm going to try to make some most of it and get as much racing in as it can.
Yeah, definitely. The Deuce. That's kind of an interesting name for a track.
Trackside 2 was the kind of, Trackside 2. So it was trackside outside. They started playing with the.
I didn't know there was a outdoor trackside, to be honest.
Yeah, they started it a couple years ago. Like I said, it's about 10 minutes north of the freeway from the track, and they had a big piece of property they rented and put a container on it and a beautiful outdoor track. A local kid, Ryan Schmidt, his name, a stellar crawling track, one of the nicest ones. It was massive. They had I want to say 4 courses, 3. They built a water pond with a tree over it, then bridges, and it was pretty epic. And it was sad for them, all the effort they put in, but it was for them to lose it. But yeah, it was really, really nice for sure.
I want to give a shout out to Matthew Kessel here. He's new, just started 10 scale in June, headed to a race in Illinois this weekend for an 8 scale race trial by Fire Club, and big races can coexist. For sure, I think so. Matthew, you hit it on the nail on the head. And good luck to your racing adventure this weekend, buddy.
Absolutely. Just go out and have fun and try to learn as much as you can, make new friends. Don't be afraid to go up to people and, try to learn what tires they're running, things like that. And, the stuff that you'll learn 6 months down the road, you'll be passing it down to the new guy that comes up to you. And that's kind of how our hobby cycles. It goes from the top guys you learn, and then you'll teach people how to set the gear mesh. I remember first time I set my gear mesh, I learned from a kid named Demetrius Pitchford. It was dirt oval back in the 80s. He was, 11, 12 years old. He taught me how to set my gear mesh on my converted Gold Tub RC10. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I never forget that. There's a little kid. He was a wheel back in the day too, in dirt oval, and we actually just reconnected on Facebook. So this was 1989 or so. Half you guys. When were you born, Thomas? Oh, you see, you're older than most people know. So I won't throw you
Yeah,
under the bus, but
I race
uh,
40 plus,
so yeah, so it you learn and then you just pass it down like I did from young Demetrius back in the
man.
day.
The most important thing, Matthew, have a blast, man. Enjoy the weather,
Yes.
enjoy where you're at, what you're doing. Shane Borden here, a TLR driver. He was very, very effective in stock. He won a national
Oh
championship
yeah,
in
he was a man for sure.
short course. I remember that. He was super pumped. And the thing is, so he hasn't raced stock in a while, and he says, "Oh man, on the stock subject, I didn't run 17.5 for about 8 months and went and drove it again with some new motors and batteries, and it's crazy fast now. Nothing like um, um, nothing like it was in 2016 or 2017. So even just for 2 years and 3 years, the technology, the graphite plus, the graphene plus packs, and super low internal resistance, massive burst rates. These batteries are so fast, and then the motors just keep getting faster. So 17.5, even coming from a guy that used to race 17.5 and was at the top of the food chain in this, he's even saying now the 2020 stuff is super fast, and yeah, he's correct, man.
I think there's going to be a time when
You'll have to step
it's
back.
gonna go to 25.5 is going to be the new stock, and 21.5 will be the
It
super
will have.
stock.
It will have
Right.
to. Like it can't just keep going this way, and
Yeah.
just basically stock will be just as fast as mod. You just have to do a bunch of tricks.
Right.
All right, so let's finish up with two more questions, Scotty. What do you think?
What do we got here? So many here, hard to read them all.
I know, man. They got longer and longer as we scrolled to well, as we talked about racing and the future of racing, and some of these ideas about racing.
And we've had some good conversations tonight,
Oh, here we go. This is a good
of what
question here.
the good and what's that?
Here's a really good question. How much do you guys actually mentally coach the pros or the amateur racers? This will be an interesting one from your perspective and my perspective, I think, because we're kind of around these guys, these pros, quite a lot, and each of our interactions with some of these drivers are is different. Some of them I'm very close to, and some of them I just see at the track once in a while. Don't really, have too much in contact. What have you coached a lot of people or mentored a lot of people or given advice to racers or pros or non-pros coming up?
For sure. Through my 20 years of owning the hobby shop and racetrack, for sure. I've had a lot of new people come up, and probably the most basic thing I couldn't count how many. I read it in a magazine from a quote from Brian Kenwell. And the interviewer asked Brian, when did you realize you were starting to get good?
Mm.
And it was like when he could drive a lap without crashing. Whoever taught him mentored him to, it's basic understanding once you've been told, but that it's faster to go much slower around a track and not crash than to try to go so fast and crash, have to get marshaled and things like that. And I used that in my early years from when I was racing, and I passed it on to many youngsters when they were going. They, get on a drive stand for the first time, and I would tell them just go very slow, just do
Mm.
one lap. I did it with my kids when Sarah Ann first started racing. That was what my coaching to get her to just drive a lap very slow. You got one lap in the books. Okay, now try to do 2 laps and try to do 3 laps without crashing. The speed will naturally come because your inherent ability improves and you're just going to go faster and faster. But trying to go without crashing, that was the number one thing I tried to teach all the new people that came through trackside in the days. And it's to this day, it's still some of the best thing. You can have the fastest motor, fastest battery, $500 radio, but if you keep crashing, you're not going to go fast. So that was the best advice I would give to new people.
Interesting, man. That's really good. Um, it's hard, man. So with the pro stuff, most of those guys, especially the older guys. And the older guys, they're not very old. I mean, they're younger than me. So, like Mayfield, I think they're 33, 34, 32, 33, 34, around their age. So Mayfield, Tebow, Cavalieri, uh, those guys, you don't really need to coach so much. They're so well, they have so much experience. They really don't need any coaching. What they really need to do, what they really need is kind of like a confidence check. They just need to make sure that they feel like they have the support of the team. They need to make sure that they're going in the right direction. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, um, their racing and their performance is on them. It's them on the track. It's their decisions. It's their decisions to set the car up. It's their decision with the tires. There's only so much I can do. But most of these guys they're good at what they do. They're pros. That's why
Sure.
they get paid, right? They're good at what they do. So there's not a lot of mentoring or advice that I give to the pro guys. Having worked with Cav and or Ronald Falk, Mayfield, Dakota. Now with Mayfield, I never really had to kind of give him any advice. It'd be kind of absurd for a guy like me to give Mayfield advice. Like I can see some certain things that maybe he can't, like in his car. And I'll say something to him like, "Hey, your car looks like it's doing something weird over this corner, or it's kind of dipping out," and then he'll kind of take that information and make adjustments to the car if he feels it needs to. So I just spot certain things. I'll let them know. I'll let them handle their situation. I'm not in control of their race program. They're in control of the race program. I just need to assist and be there to give them the enough support that they need to have a good car for the main. Whatever happens in the main, is just whatever happens in the main. There's nothing really I can do at that point. But by that point, my job is to get them a car that's competitive and has race winning pace. Their job is to try to get that pace and take it to cross the line and finish first. So with Dakota, I really don't even have to say too much to him. There's just very little things that I need just to do for Dakota, and a lot of it is just kind of just check boxes, check off the certain things that he needs to feel that he's got everything ready. He does. There's a couple weird things that I've noticed, like he tightens his wheel nuts on his car, his 8 scale car. Like that's the thing he does before he actually goes on the driver's stand. He has to tighten it, and it's like Loctite. Like he's physically like putting all his power into his wheel nuts to get him tight. So when I have to get him off, they're actually really, really hard to do. I have like a wussy wrench. It just doesn't work. You have to have a really sturdy wrench to get his wheel nuts off because they're so locked on, so
But he's
tight.
never going to lose a wheel, is he?
One of those things that some racers do. They have a certain kind of program or a certain type of thing that they go through. One of his things is having wheel nuts totally locked down, and he has to check it before he leaves to go to the driver's stand. It's just the thing. So there's more things that with those guys that I do to make sure that it's done. But on the second group of guys, not the pros who've already made it in their season and their weather, but the guys that are coming up trying to get into that step where they get a little bit of pay. Those guys actually need a lot of coaching, a lot of advice, a lot of working with, because they're trying to break through. They're trying to advance themselves to the next level. And to get to that next level, you need some help. You need advice. You need to talk to people. You need to learn. You have to have you have to surround yourself with good people that rub off in a positive way so that you're always kind of pushing forward learning. And those guys like Tom Rennicks, Mason Fullers, Lee Setzers, those guys. I work with JC and TLR now. Those guys are the guys that I kind of need to coach and give advice to and try to mentor or try to help them so that they can advance their skill and advance their speed quicker. The pro guys already got the speed. They just need to have the car good. But the other guys, they need confidence. They need a strategy, perhaps. They need just a reassurance. A lot of those kind of things that go into it. And over the years of working with these dudes and working with so many racers, it's just kind of become something I really enjoy doing is helping people kind of get to that next level or improve or have somebody's back so that they when they go to a race, they know if I'm there, they know they got some support, some help, and those little things really help and add up over time. But yeah, so little coaching on the pros. It's just making sure that they got what they need. The second tier guys, the young guns, usually they're the ones that need a lot of help, and the amateur racers, they're kind of at that basic step of just trying to be consistent, trying to, like
That's
you
the key,
said,
right?
yeah, like you said, like take away some speed, add more consistency,
Hmm.
and things like that. So they're at a different level. But either way, it's a lot of fun to help. I find it a lot of fun to help people progress. I find that, like, for me, I'm stoked when I learn something new or I get good at something new. That becomes a part of me. RC is kind of that same thing where you can get good at and you can get to a level of understanding or performance that is remarkable and amazing. So these pro guys, man, they figured it out.
Yeah, for sure. It's enjoyable to watch them when they're at the top of their game, for sure.
Who do you think is the most fun to watch?
Oh, there's
Who do you think is like
if
the most entertaining, like got the coolest style, just fun on the track? Not necessarily, they not necessarily have to be the biggest race winner, but just their driving or the way they
I mean,
attack or their.
you could say, you could bid for Ryan Lutz, you know what I mean? When he's, just throwing his car around, you could Mayfield, he's got the bad boy image, and just an absolute machine. He comes out drives and want to throat punch somebody, you know what I mean? So he's an absolute joy to watch. And then they all have their mystique and their own styles and things like that. You look at Bruno Coelho, who's absolute brilliant and so many forms of racing, and the Mark Reinhardt's world and Hard back in his day. I mean, they all have their coolness. Adam Drake going 10, 12, 15 minutes on a tank or whatever, back in the day. So they all have their cool things that I
They're
enjoy
one
watching
guy,
for sure.
one driver.
Oh, see my
I try. You can't just say
ah,
I love everybody, man.
well,
I'm a fan
no,
of
no, but still,
everybody.
there's
It's like that's no fun.
it depends on what era are we talking about? You know what I mean?
Just the way that you just I really admired the way they the car control was different. The way they jumped is different. Like, is there anybody that has that kind of impressiveness to you when you're watching them and you're just like, my God, like what?
I mean,
You
you
know,
can
there's so
if
many
you got to
fast drivers, right?
you
But
got to go you got to go back in Kinwald in his heyday. You know what I
okay,
mean? He was unbelievable for what he did and what he could do and his thinking and his always trying stuff and everything. I mean, it's
his
that's
his
an easy one, but he was amazing.
his approach, I think, was next level. I think
It was absolutely.
he was one of the guys that changed it, that forced everybody to work harder
Yeah,
because he was figuring out things that was, with racing that was giving him an advantage. And everybody had like during his reign, it was basically it's starting to become the end of the Rockstar RC Pro Racer.
so, what do you mean at the end of it when there
Like
was just a few guys that were there, or?
it was like an era where the pro racers were like rock stars. They would go to races, but they would party.
Oh yeah, 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 for
You know,
sure. Back in the day, now it's
now,
no,
now
now it's
they'll go partying. There might be a few beers here and there, but they're not like going out, going clubbing or
no,
and
no,
meet.
no. It's going to Outback after the race, having a couple there, and back to the hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the end of the Rockstar days. I think when Kinwald started stepping up and getting to that next level, he kind of like changed how racing was because to compete with Kinwald, you couldn't do those things. You couldn't just
absolutely.
he
And
changed.
Kinwald was at the track every day. I mentioned it earlier when I went. I go to SoCal. All his stuff, all his batteries and cars and everything was just laying because he was at the track, every day, and that made him the champion he was, and as you said, made everybody else kind of up their game.
Yeah. So here we go, Matt. Last comment.
Just
When I
pick
was
me.
asking about who
Matt,
was
don't
most,
do this. You're always my hero, buddy.
when I was asking you about most impressive, Matt was waiting for you to say
I
me,
failed.
but
I'm sorry.
so that concludes our show for today. I want to thank everybody um, that was a part of this. All the questions, the comments, the connection that we've made. Man, there's a ton of comments here, and a lot of them very in depth, very well thought out. And that to me, that means that you guys are engaged, you guys are having fun, you guys want to learn, be part of this. I want to thank you guys for being a part of this. Uh,
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Phil Goodwine. That's very kind of you.
as much as I can, I want to do a talk every week, but it kind of gets hard with if I'm gone at a race next weekend. Um, I'll be at Turf Nationals on Thursday, so I don't know if I'm going to have time to go live and sit down and do something like this. It really depends on how practice is going. If we're behind, I probably won't have time. But if things are going rolling pretty good and we've got pace, I could probably get something going and not have to pay attention to the team so much. So. We'll see how it goes next week. I would try to do a live show from the Turf Nationals in Connecticut and kind of talk about the differences of getting the 22 5.0 Elite and the 22 X4, how to get them going fast on turf. So check out next week. But I want to thank Scotty, the man, who started my career in the social media or social media stuff. Got me connected later with JC and kind of got me where I'm here. So the dude that kind of started all for me, this guy here, Scotty, thanks for coming on board. I thought we would have a great show about some racing, get people excited, and talk about some of the racing caveats and the awesomeness and the downfalls and all the stuff about racing. But I appreciate it, man, and always a pleasure to catch up with you. I hope we do this maybe in a couple months. We'll catch back up with you and see how racing is going and see where we're at. Maybe at the end of the year before New Year's or something, catch back up and see how 2021 is going to evolve for you.
That'd be
I'm
a lot of
crossing my
fun.
fingers. We go back
Yeah.
to full racing, full time, and we get to enjoy something very similar to our life before COVID. So, but everybody out there watching, thanks again. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Be smart. It's better to err on you know on the not so the good side versus not so good side, I guess. But Scotty, man, you're the man. And good night,
Thank you.
everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week.
Thank you very
Signing
much.
off.